C4025, was published. Chapter 4025 was published in The Universe Boat. As soon as Jian Wushuang entered, Lung Rushuang and Devil Flame immediately came up to him. "Darling, are you okay?" Lung Rushuang asked with a hint of worry in her eyes. "I'm fine, but it was really dangerous. If I wasn't at the perfect life level, I would have died," Jian Wushuang said. Lung Rushuang's face darkened. Although she and Devil Flame had stayed in the Universe Boat, they had clearly seen the battlefield outside. Nine Whiskers had used his most powerful killing move, especially the attack of the hidden red fog. It was beyond everyone's expectations. She had seen Jian Wushuang get hit, and she had almost run out of the Universe Boat. It was the Devil Flame that held her back. "I was careless," Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. "I underestimated the experts in the universe." He had risen from the divine beginning realm and encountered countless crises along the way. However, he was mentally prepared for many of those crises. Jian Wushuang knew most of the techniques of the experts in the divine beginning realm, so he was confident. But the universe was different. The universe was vast and boundless, and there were countless experts. Because of this, there were all kinds of strange techniques in the universe. Not only were there many kinds of techniques, but they were also terrifying and impossible to guard against. This time, Jian Wushuang saw it for himself. Nine Whiskers was a fighter just now and wanted to use his strongest move to fight with him. Who would have thought that there was a terrifying killer move hidden in his strongest move? Even he was accidentally hit by it. The vast universe is much more cruel than the divine beginning realm. Although I have experienced many storms in the divine beginning realm, I have just entered the universe and don't know much about it. I am still very young compared to the entire universe, Jian Wushuang thought. Young, he could only use this word to describe himself. Even though he had lived for hundreds of thousands of years and experienced many storms, it was still his first time venturing into the universe. Ruler, the cruelty of the universe is far beyond what you can imagine. What you are seeing now is just the surface of the entire universe. I once ventured into the universe for a very long time. During this long period of adventuring, I summed up a sentence, that is, in the universe, other than yourself, don't trust anyone else. Except for yourself, everyone around you can be your enemy. You have to be vigilant and careful in order to live longer. As for those who are merciful in fierce battles, they won't live long, Devil Flame said in a low voice. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded. He had learned from his mistakes. This time, Jian Wushuang had learned a lesson. In the future, no matter who his opponent was in the universe, even if he did not have the intention to kill, he had to be careful that his opponent might use his killer move at any time. Even if the person in front of him was a well-known good man, he could still suddenly reach out to him with his dark and cold sea principles. By the way, Nine Whiskers is an expert at the pinnacle of the 4th level, and his battle strength is comparable to a 5th-level ruler. He is also an ascetic, so he must be rich. Although I killed him, I haven't checked his treasures. Jian Wushuang smiled, then he waved his hand and took out the treasures and interspatial ring that Nine Whiskers had left behind after his death. Jian Wushuang first looked at the treasures that were revealed from Nine Whiskers' divine body after his death. Nine Whiskers had already recognized and refined these treasures, so Nine Whiskers used them directly. For example, the long spear and armor, a black ring, and a strange grey bead. Jian Wushuang already knew about the long spear and armor. The purple long spear was a principal supreme treasure, but judging from its aura, it was only a low-grade principal supreme treasure. Its value was estimated to be between 100 and 200 universe origin stones. As for the armor, it was a supreme-grade supreme treasure, so it was not worth much. Jian Wushuang was mainly looking at the black ring and the strange grey bead. He first looked at the black ring, and his consciousness directly merged with it. Is it a domain-type supreme treasure? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and then shook his head. Although a domain-type supreme treasure was a supreme-grade supreme treasure, since it was not a principal supreme treasure, it could not interest Jian Wushuang. Then Jian Wushuang looked at the strange grey bead. With a simple sweep of his consciousness, Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. A principal-type supreme treasure, and it's an extremely precious one, a soul defense-type supreme treasure. Jian Wushuang was excited both physically and mentally. A principle-type supreme treasure was extremely precious. Any attack-type supreme treasure was worth more than 100 universe origin stones. However, an attack-type principle supreme treasure was only an ordinary principle supreme treasure. A principle supreme treasure armor, a domain type, and a suppression type principle supreme treasure were naturally more valuable. For example, Jian Wushuang's Heaven Suppression Tablet was much more valuable than an ordinary attack-type principle supreme treasure. Of course, because the Heaven Suppression Tablet was a standard principle supreme treasure, it was not very valuable. As for a soul defense-type principle treasure, it was precious. After all, the soul was the core of a cultivator. In the universe, it was necessary to protect one's soul when one's strength reached the ruler level. After all, there were many experts in the universe who specialized in the soul aspect. When such experts used soul attacks, it was impossible for them to defend themselves, they could only rely on their own soul power to withstand it. At this time, a soul defense type true treasure, 9, was particularly important. In terms of value, a soul defense type true treasure was definitely the most precious among all true treasures of the same level. The Grey Ruler and the Purple Spear Jian Wushuang had obtained from the treasures left behind by Nine Whiskers were both principal true treasures. However, in terms of value, the Grey Ruler was definitely more than 10 times as valuable as the Purple Spear. If the Grey Pearls were sold in the Nine Emperor Pavilion, they could be sold for more than 1,000 universe origin stones. Haha, I'm rich, Jian Wushuang laughed. A principal true treasure of the soul defense type? Devil Flame's eyes lit up. A principal true treasure of this level is enough to attract many 5th level rulers. Even an ultimate level ruler would take it seriously. How could Nine Whiskers, a 4th level ruler, have such a treasure? It was apparent that Devil Flame was also quite shocked. One had to know that even when he was at his peak, he had many principal true treasures in his possession. However, a soul defense type principal true treasure, even if it was only a low-level one, was enough for him to take it seriously. After all, the highest level true treasure he had used at his peak was only a middle-level principal true treasure. This low-level soul defense type principal true treasure was very close to a middle-level principal true treasure. Chapter 4026. The first is more. If you look at the name, Wanzhong Demon Sect is good at poisoning, but the coldness at first was a poisonous body derived from congenital sin. This Wanzhong Demon Sect fits her exactly. Jian Wushuang secretly said. Knowing where Leng Rushua was, but Jian Wushuang did not rush to Lei Hengxing Realm, but went to the Jodi Pavilion of Ziwei Star Domain. Nine Emperor Pavilion, the power is spread across all territories of the universe. Ziwei Xinghe is a medium-sized star field. During this period, the scale of the Zhejian Pavilion was far beyond that of the Jodi Pavilion in the same star domain as Jian Wushuang. On top of a huge Earth star, towering loft temples stand, and the entire Earth star is covered by a giant law formation. This law formation exudes an ancient and majestic breath. From the breath alone, it can be seen that this law formation is extremely arrogant. I am afraid that even if the 4th series or even the 5th series dominates the presence, it is difficult to shake the law. In the slightest. Flight is prohibited in the Jade Pavilion, so practitioners who come to trade in the Jade Pavilion must enter it honestly through the entrance, and after entering the Jade Pavilion, they can only walk. Jian Wushuang, as cold as frost holding hands, walked side by side into the Jodi Pavilion, while the demon flame followed him respectfully. As for the spacecraft, Chen Wuyun had been taken back by Jian Wushuang. At the center of the trading of Jodi Pavilion, you can see the many treasures displayed in the surroundings, and the practitioners who come and go. At present, the number of practitioners trading in the Jodi Pavilion is extremely large. Although most of them are still the masters of the rules, there are still many masters, and even some masters of the 2nd and 3rd ranks exist. Dominate. The piece that was put into the early world of the divine realm did not enter the meteor field. Naturally, it is the top powerhouse. The number is very small, and it is difficult to see one on weekdays. However, in the vast universe, is not much. Ziwei Starfield is a medium-sized starfield, with a very large number of dominators, and Jodi Pavilion is the largest trading center in the entire Ziwei starfield, and it naturally dominates a lot. As soon as the three swordsmen of the sword entered the trading center, the waiters in the Jodi Pavilion saw that the swordsmen of the swordsmen were extraordinary and immediately greeted them. 3 adults, I don't know if there is anything I can do for Jodi Pavilion. This waiter, who is just the master of the rules, is very respectful. Jian Wushuang didn't speak, just took out a sign. The waiter at Jodi Pavilion was staring at the moment when he saw the sign, but followed the look with more respect and awe. 3 adults, please follow me. Under the guidance of this waiter, the 3 swordsmen came to an independent secret room, where a purple man received them. Bloodsword friend, I'm one of the 3 directors in the Jodi Pavilion of Ziwei Starfield. My name is Barma. The Z smiled. This Barma, as one of the directors of the Jodi Pavilion, has the power of the 4th rank. If he simply talks about the breath, he is much higher than the 3 swordsmen, but he faces the swordless man. At that time, there was no slight shelf, but rather enthusiasm. Hello, Director Barma. Jian Wushuang greeted with a smile. I don't know, Bloodsword, what do you need? Barma asked. I need some high-level special spar. You better come up with a list and let me choose by myself. Jian Wushuangdao. No problem. Barma quickly compiled a list and handed it to Jian Wushuang. Bloodsword boyfriend, the spar on this list is owned by my 9 Emperors Pavilion. If you need it, it can be delivered to you immediately, as far as the level is concerned. Jian Wushuang took the list, glanced briefly, nodded slightly, and turned the list to the magic flame behind him. Magic flame, look at it. After the flames took over, they also browsed. Half-sounded, the magic flame said, Master, the spar above is of very high quality, many of which are higher than the gold fire magic stone and the ice yuan crystal. The restoration of the divine body is very useful, especially if these 3 kinds of spar are given me 20, my divine body will be enough to recover about 40%. That's okay. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, then he pointed to the 3 kinds of crystals that Moyan said, and said, these 3 types of crystals each give me 20. No problem. Barma nodded. These 3 kinds of spar, 20 of them, all add up. I count your 300 cosmic source stones. 300. Jian Wushuang smiled. Not expensive. It is not expensive. You should know that when he bought the gold fire magic stone in the starfield where he was, a gold fire magic stone was calculated according to 1 universe source stone. The value of the golden fire demon stone is far inferior to the 3 kinds of spar currently selected by the demon flame. And Jian Wushuang bought 60 such crystals at one time, but only 300 cosmic source stones are cheap enough. Of course, this is also because the spar that Jian Wushuang now needs, which is already in the Ziwei starfield, and does not need to be sent from other starfields, so the price is indeed much cheaper. I need a few more rules of treasure. Jian Wushuang began to pick the rule from the Polaroid. Of course, he is not choosing the rule treasure for himself. After all, he already has the Wu Cry Excalibur on the attack, but the rule treasure of the top grade is extremely valuable, enough for him to use. And he also has 3 town monuments, and the rule of repression is also precious. If he really wants the rule of the treasure, what he needs to estimate is the treasure of the treasure, or the rule of the domain or flying. However, that type of rule is extremely valuable, and the value is too high. Any one is estimated to be thousands of cosmic source stones. Sword Wushuang killed Ju Shu. Although he obtained a lot of wealth, it is not luxurious to direct for yourself. Choose the treasures of Warframe, Realm or Flight. He is now choosing Arcane for his frosty and magic flames. Needless to say, the magic flame is very important to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang now spends 300 cosmic source stones to restore the magic flame's strength without accident. As long as the magic flame gets those spar, if he restores his own body to about 40%, then his strength should be able to recover to the extreme of the 4th series, or even the 5th series, and by his means, he will be in the 5th series. It is definitely a very strong combat force. If it is matched with a rule of treasure suitable for his casting, the combat power will naturally be stronger. And cold as frost, it is his wife. Jian Wushuang will not hesitate to his own breath, directly killing Ju Shu. The soul defense type of the treasure is obtained. He gave cold as frost, Now naturally also Frost will be equipped with a rule of attack treasure. After all, he came to Ziwei Star this time, originally to finish his wife and the cold snow. Chapter 4027. Second More. Soon Jian Wushuang gave cold as frost and magic flame separately, and chose their own rules. Lung Rushuang chose a long whip, while Demon Flame chose a scarlet claw soldier. These two rules are the most precious soldiers, which greatly improved their strength. And these two rules are extremely precious. Together with all the special spar, they use the cosmic source stone of Jian Wushuang 600, and Jian Wushuang used Jinyuan God fruit in order to cultivate the supreme immortal mystic. Therefore, he owed a cosmic source stone to Jodi Pavilion. This time Jian Wushuang also returned together, but even so, there are still some single source stones that Jian Wushuang obtained from Jushu Chenkuan Ring, plus Jian Wushuang from the hands of the Star Demon Ancestor and Demon Star Master what I got, as well as my own collections over the years, all add up, and there are still about 500 remaining cosmic source stones in Jian Wushuang's hands. Director Barma, I still have a list of treasures here, and see if you can get all the treasures on this list in a short time. Jian Wushuang handed out a list of treasures. B.A. Mo took it with a smile and glanced away, but the smile on his face instantly solidified. Blood sword boy. Barma's voice was obviously a little bit wrong. Why, isn't there such treasure in Jodi Pavilion? Jian Wushuang looked over. That's not it. Barma shook his head. As long as it is a treasure in the universe, I can basically get it at Jodi Pavilion, but it only takes a matter of time, and you who are on the list treasures, even the Joding Pavilion branch I am in charge of, can make up 70% to 80%, but there are still a few treasures, but they need to be called in other territories, but I can guarantee that within 1,000 years, you can put all these treasures together and send them to your friend. Within 1,000 years. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. Does the blood sword friend think it's too long? Barma looked over. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. For thousands of years, he did feel a little longer. But Barma smiled weirdly. Bloodsword little friend, in fact, you don't need to worry about it at this time. After all, there is a cosmic channel. It is not impossible to speed up, but what you really care about is the value of these treasures. That's right. Sword Wushuang's expression moved, and he heard from Barma that the treasures on this list were of extraordinary value. In this regard, Jian Wushuang is not surprised. The list of treasures he brought out was exactly the treasure needed to cultivate the fourth most important thing of the Supreme Immortal. The Supreme Immortal Mystic Body, which comes from Ling Yunxing's inner star mysticism, has a very high level. He has been refined into the top 3 at the main level of the rule. Starting from the 4th level, the Supreme Immortal Mysticism requires the dominating realm to practice. Jian Wushuang now naturally has reached the threshold for cultivation, but his own cultivation conditions are sufficient. He can cultivate the auxiliary treasures he needs. No, I can only pin my hopes on Jodi Pavilion. However, we need to know that he needed many treasures just for the purpose of refining the third, including a golden source fruit. The value of Jinyuan God fruit is very high. If it is auctioned well in the world, it can even sell nearly 100 universe source stones. Many of the treasures needed to practice the fourth aspect of the Supreme Immortal Mystery are at the same level as the Jinyuan God fruit, and even more valuable than the Jinyuan God fruit. There are dozens of them. Naturally, it is not easy to get together the treasures on this list. Director Barma, let's be honest, how many cosmic source stones are needed to get together the many treasures on this list? Jian Wushuang asked, and he was mentally prepared. Bloodsword friend, you are on the list of 9 emperors, but I am a guest of the 9 emperors pavilion, and I will not hide you. If all the treasures on this list are in order, at least 8,000 cosmic sources are required. Sure, this is because of your own identity and unlimited time. If you change someone else and need to send it in as soon as possible, the standby time required will be even greater, Barma said. 8,000 source stones? Even though Jian Wushuang was already mentally prepared to hear this number, he was still shocked. 8,000 source rocks of the universe? Moyen couldn't help but sighed. Generally the 5th series dominates, all the net worth is also hundreds of source rocks of the universe, and some peaks in the 5th series exist. It is estimated that there are only 2 or 3,000 cosmic source stones, and 8,000 cosmic source stones are already comparable to the ultimate net worth of one ultimate master. Like me, all the net worth in the peak period is estimated to be about 10,000 source rocks of the universe. I thought I beheaded Jushu and got his Chungyun ring. In addition to my previous collections, the net worth was relatively rich, but I didn't expect it to be far behind. Jian Wushuang shook his head with a bitter smile. Bloodsword friend, you are a friend of my 9 Emperors Pavilion, and you are listed in the 9 Emperors list, so you have certain privileges in the 9 Emperors Pavilion. You can apply for these treasures first, and then pay back these cosmic source stones later. However, after all, there are more than 8,000 cosmic source stones, and the number is a bit larger. It requires the consent of some high-level officials in my 9 Emperors court. I can help you with the Bloodsword, but it will take some time before there will be a reply. Barma said. No need. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. He was not so eager to get these treasures, and he also understood that although he was on the list of 9 emperors, it was not easy to borrow treasures worth more than 8,000 from Jodi Pavilion at one time. Well, Director Barma, I still have some special things in my hands. I don't know the specific value of these things. I wonder if you can identify them for me. Jian Wushuang said. Of course, no problem. Barma was very enthusiastic and patient. I only got these things a while ago. Jian Wushuang said as he waved his hands, and took out each jade bottle. There are a total of 12 jade bottles, each of which is very special in material, and even has the effect of shielding the exploration of the power of the soul. If you do open the stopper, I do know what is in the jade bottle. Barma looked at the jade bottles in front of him, and there was a hint of curiosity in his heart. Immediately he opened one of them and the power of the soul penetrated. This is... Barma stared suddenly. I saw that there was only a drop of scarlet liquid in the jade bottle. Although it was a liquid, it felt extremely cold. When the power of Barma's soul touched this drop of liquid, he felt his entire soul instantly, as if to be completely frozen. Venom? Is this venom? Barma looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Yes, it's venom. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Chapter 4028. The first is more. These venoms were also obtained by Jian Wushuang from the Chenkuan ring left by Jushu. At the beginning, Jian Wushuang and Jushu fought, and underneath that Juzus killing move, the poisonous mist attack was hidden, and the sudden red poisonous mist was too late for Jian Wushuang to resist, only to hit. The poisonous red poisonous mist is extremely horrible, even the perfect life deity of sword unparalleled can't resist. Fortunately, he is full of divine power to survive. After beating and killing Jushu, Jian Wushuang found these venoms in Juzus Chenkuan ring. A total of 12 jade bottles, each of which contained a drop of venom. And these venoms are not exactly the same, but there are 3 kinds. One of them is scarlet venom, recognized by the sword, which is similar to the red poisonous mist that eroded his body before, but it is more intense and rich. Not surprisingly, the 9 mustaches cost some price, decomposing a part of a drop of scarlet venom into a red poisonous mist, and hiding it in its own magic soldier. Beimo, look, what is the value of these venoms? Jian Wushuang said. Venom, especially the very high-level venom, is of great value in the universe, and the venom you brought out of Bloodsword little friends is obviously very high level. Naturally, it is very precious, but I have a specialization in surgery. I can the appraisal judged the value of many kinds of treasures, but I was not very good at venom. Barma laughed. Xiaojian Xiaoyu, let's wait a moment. I'll show this venom to another supervisor of Jodi Pavilion. He has some experience in identifying the value of venom. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. There are 3 different kinds of venom here. You can take a drop to identify him. Barma immediately took 3 jade bottles, each of which contained different venom, and walked towards the outdoor space. The 3 swordsmen were waiting there silently. It didn't take long for Barma to return to the back room again and came to Jian Wushuang. Xiaojian Xiaoyu, the identification results have come out. Barma looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile. Xiaoyu, the 3 venoms you took out were basically the same at the level. No accident, these 3 venoms. It was made by the same poison master who reached the ultimate level, but there was a slight gap between the nature and the use process. Poison division? Jian Wushuang's expression moved, but he heard it for the first time. Master, the universe is vast, the number of practitioners is innumerable, and naturally there are some more special professions among the numerous practitioners, such as alchemy, refiner, matrix formation, or soul attack. These are more common, but there are also some it's rare, it's like a poison master, Moyen said. Poison masters are good at using poison, and they usually debug all kinds of venom to kill the enemy. In the universe, the poison division is terrible, because the poisons debugged by these poison divisions are generally very scary. If you are not careful, even if your strength is obviously stronger than the other party, you may die in the poison division's hands, and a poisoner who has reached the ultimate level, in terms of the terrible degree, is definitely the most horrible one among the ultimate masters. Even the supreme dare not underestimate such masters. So powerful? Jian Wushuang was surprised. The master had been secretly calculated by the Jushu. Fortunately, the Jushu could not really use these venoms. Otherwise, although you are a special constitution, you may not be able to stop the erosion of this venom. Demon Flame solemnly said. The sword is unparalleled. He could see that any drop of venom in this jade bottle was extremely terrifying. This drop of venom, let alone him, would be very easy to kill even the ultimate master. It's just that although this venom has the ability to kill the ultimate master, but most people can't use it. Like those 9 beards, you can't use these venoms completely. The red poisonous mist that had previously calculated the sword unparalleled, it took him a long time to dilute it from a drop of scarlet venom, and it only occupied a whole drop. 1% of the venom. But despite this red poisonous mist still caused great trouble to Jian Wushuang. I can imagine how terrible a drop of venom is. And the most important thing is that this venom can only be stored with special materials, but it can't exist in the void for too long. Even if you want to wipe the venom on the blade of a soldier to kill the enemy, the level of venom is too high. As soon as the treasure soldiers touched the venom, the soldiers were directly corroded and collapsed, and there was no chance to shoot. Even if the rule is precious, the general rule of inferiority is precious. If you apply a drop of this venom, this rule of inferiority may be greatly damaged, and it may even collapse over time. Because of this, Jushu couldn't apply a complete drop of venom on his spear to attack. The spear in Jushu's hand is just the top quality rule, but my Wu Crying Excalibur is the top quality rule. If you apply a complete drop of venom on the Wu Crying Excalibur should support it. Live. Jian Wushuang could not help thinking. You know, this is a venom refined by a poison master at the ultimate master level. 1 drop of this venom can kill the ultimate master. If it can be wiped on the blade and used for attack, as long as the blade touches the venom of the opponent's body immediately infiltrates. It is considered to be the ultimate master, and I am afraid it will be difficult to survive. In other words, luck. He relied on this venom to have the chance to kill the ultimate master. Of course, he just thought about it, but didn't plan to do it like that. After all, he didn't have much confidence that Wu Wei's Excalibur could withstand a full drop of venom. If he couldn't bear it, causing Wu Wei's Excalibur to be damaged, then he would lose money. Unless he encounters a real crisis, there is no way he can make such a choice. Bloodsword friend, your venom is indeed very precious. If you want to sell it, my Jodi Pavilion can be collected by a drop of 1,000 universe source stones. Barma said. A drop of 1,000 universe source stones? Jian Wushuang was startled. So precious. Lung Rushuang and Demon Flame were also startled. 1,000 cosmic source stones, a drop of venom. You know, he has now taken out a full 12 jade bottles, a total of 12 drops of venom, that is to say, if he sold all of these venoms, it is 12,000 source rocks of the universe. Before, he was worried about the value of the treasure needed to practice the 4th weight of the supreme immortal mystery, but in the blink of an eye he knew that he still had such a large fortune in his hands. Chapter 4029. Second more. Bloodsword friend, these venoms. Barma looked at Jian Wushuang, and he hoped that Jian Wushuang would sell them to him. After all, This high-level venom has always been very scarce in the universe. His Zhoutian pavilion has a strong presence throughout the universe. Higher levels of venom are everywhere, but they are all deep in the universe, or some big ones. Territory. In this purple star field, this is the highest level of venom that Bama has come into contact with. No. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. I just asked you to help me identify the value of these venoms, but I didn't want to sell them to you. Hearing that, Bama shrugged and felt helpless. By the way, Director Bama, I don't know if there is any way I can refine these venoms. Jian Wushuang asked suddenly. Refining? Bama stunned. Bloodsword boy, do you want to thoroughly refine these venoms? Of course. Jian Wushuang nodded with a smile. If there is no refining, then all he can do is to force the drop of venom on Wu Weapon Sword to risk the corrosion and damage of Wu Weapon Sword under the premise of forced action, and then find a chance to kill enemy. Or, like Ju Shu, spend years on the school field, slowly dilute these venoms, and break down some lower-level poisonous mist or poisonous gas to kill the enemy. But there are many shortcomings between these two ways of use. Like the first type, if in the fierce battle, where can the opponent give him the opportunity to put the venom on the Excalibur, he will really find the opportunity, which is also carried out under the opponent's eyelids. The opponent knows that you are on the Excalibur, it is naturally vigilant to apply poison, but if you want to succeed, it will not be so easy. As for the second type, it takes not only a lot of time, but the final products, such as those of the red mist of Ju Shu, are also powerful, but the effect is far less amazing than a complete venom. Naturally, Jian Wushuang wanted to completely refine these venoms. Only after fully refining and mastering these venoms, he can use these venoms as he likes, and he can even directly integrate the venoms into the Wu Weeping Sword, without damaging the Wu Weeping Sword. In normal times, he urges the Wu Weeping Sword it's nothing different from normal times, and as long as he thinks about it, the venom in Wu Weiss Excalibur will fully exert his power, which is the most correct way to use it. Just like Jian Wushuang's strength is still very weak, in the face of an undead sage who has an immortal body, he put some venom into his own soldiers, relying on the venom to corrode the other god's body and divine power, and instantly killed the enemy. Bloodsword friends, the venom in these jade bottles contains an incredible power of corrosion. Any drop is enough to easily kill the 5th-ranked dominating master. Even the ultimate master will have a huge threat. If you are not careful, the ultimate dominator will fall. However, because this venom is too terrible, it becomes extremely difficult to refine it. Normally, a 5th-ranked master who is the most extreme, if he ventures to try, he has a certain degree of success. Chances are, practitioners below the 5th level extreme will forcibly refine these venoms, and the result will be undoubtedly fatal. Bama solemnly said. So sure, is it really impossible? Jian Wushuang frowned. Bloodsword little friend, do you know that this venom can not only cause a huge corrosive effect on the body of the practitioner, but can even directly corrode and annihilate the soul of the practitioner? But to make this venom completely soul, not only it takes a lot of divine power, but it is constantly nourishing. The most important thing is that your soul is tough enough to withstand the venom, so that it can be refined. However, even if it is the most extreme master of the 5th series, once his soul comes into contact with this venom, he will immediately suffer from the venom of this venom. If he is lucky, he will only be damaged by the soul. Clean, only a small chance can succeed. But Bloodsword, you, if I read correctly, it's just the 2nd level now, a soul dominated by the 2nd level, there is no possibility to refine these venoms. Bama glared at Jian Wushuang. He didn't mean to despise Jian Wushuang, but what he said was fact. Under normal circumstances, to refining this level of venom, the most important thing is to need a very powerful soul that can withstand the corrosion of that venom, but the soul of the sword unparalleled, Bama is certainly not up to the requirements. However, after listening to Bama's words, the sword was dull without two sides, but it was a ecstasy in my heart, soul. It's the soul that you need to purify these poisons. The last thing I fear is soul. Jian Wushuang trembled physically and mentally. You know, he is a perfect practitioner of life. He is already invincible in his soul. The damage to the soul, for him, can only be made up by a slight loss of some divine power. Even if the soul is completely annihilated, it is difficult to affect him. That is to say, he can recklessly try to refine these venoms, Just like his master Xian Yi could countless times try to regain the princely spirit world. For other practitioners, relying on the soul to try to refining this venom, once it fails is death, but even if he fails, only a small part of the divine power is lost, he can continue to try again and again, until the last success. Supervisor Bama, thank you for telling me this. Jian Wushuang smiled. Please also prepare the things I asked for before. No problem, little bloodsword friend, you can wait for a while in my 9 Emperors Pavilion. Immediately I will send those spa and 2 rules of treasure to you. Bama smiled, and went on quickly prepared for sword unparalleled. In just half an hour Bama sent all those things over. Magic flame, all these spa are for you, you take the time to restore the body. Jian Wushuang Dao. Yes. Demon Flame's eyes lighted. Shuang this rule is a treasure whip. It is stronger than usual. The treasure is much stronger. You just got it. I'm afraid I'm not used to it. Later we will find a place to get used to it. Go to the poisonous demon lord. Sword Wushuang Dao. Nodded coldly. Supervisor Bama, I also need detailed information of a person. Her name is Lung Rushue, and it belongs to the poisonous monster. Jian Wushuang said again. Cold as snow? The witch of 10,000 poisonous demon? Bama frowned, but his eyes could not help but look at the cold frost, quite strange. Chapter 40-30. The first is more. Witch. Swordless eyes narrowed. Bloodsword boy, is this wife by your side? Bama asked. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. You didn't mention the witch. I haven't noticed yet. Your wife and the witch are very imaginary. Not only is the appearance of the imaginary, even the temperament is very similar. Bama said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang couldn't help laughing. It is certain that Lung Rushwang is similar to that witch. After all, Lung Rushwang and Lung Rushue are 2 souls derived from one body. They had previously occupied a body, but then with the cold reincarnation, the soul broke away from that body. But now the body reshaped by the cold frost is also shaped as before, and of course the looks are similar. So cold as snow can now be in the poisonous demon sect? Jian Wushuang asked. No. Bama shook his head. As far as I know, the cold snow left 100 poison sects hundreds of years ago, and even left the thunder hidden domain to go to a special secret territory. I have been back, but it's no accident. In a few years, the cold snow should return to the poisonous demon sect. A few more years. Why? Jian Wushuang asked. Because in a few years, there will be a feast in Lei Hengxing's domain, and this cold snow is definitely going to participate. Bama said. I see, thank you. Jian Wushuang thanked him, and Zunyi left Jodi Pavilion together with Lung Rushwang and Demon Flame, and left for Leiheng Starfield. At the foot of Lei Hengxing, at the foot of the door of Wanzhong Zongzong, in a pub, 3 swordsmen Jian Shuang sat together, eating and drinking at will. The space of this 2nd-level astral space is much more stable than that of the 3rd-level astral space. The masters of us from the astral space have not been subject to any restrictions in this Thunderstar domain. Jian Wushuang smiling lightly. He was also worried that after all, he was an external master and would not be bound by the heavenly will of Lei Hengxing after entering Lei Hengxing. Just like the early divine realm. In the early days, the realm of the gods could not afford to dominate the combat power, so even in the early world of the gods, even the local masters could not exert their full strength. Only the master of the rules could fight unbridled and explode all their strength. Obviously, the Thunderstar field does not have much restriction on the practitioners who dominate the level. At least Jian Wushuang is standing here now, and did not feel the restraint of the will of heaven. His strength can be fully exerted to reach the peak. This would not have been possible at the beginning of the divine realm. Master, in the vast universe, the astral world is divided into different levels, not only because the quality of the strong men born in different astral worlds will be different, but also represents the degree of spatial stability and affordability of this astral world. Power of the strong. Mo Yang opened his mouth to speak. Under normal circumstances, the ordinary tertiary astral plane can't afford the dominating level of combat power, so in the tertiary astral plane, the master can't exert all its power at all. Of course, You can burst out of the master combat power. That's because you are only the ruler of the rule. In the beginning, there was no restriction on you by the divine realm, but after you break through and become the ruler, you will be restricted. The second-order astral space is naturally more stable than the third-order astral space. Within the second-order astral space, it can withstand the dominance of the level, and it is not only a general domination, even the fourth level. The power of the fifth level and even the ultimate level can be sustained by the second level. That is to say, in the second-level astral world, as long as it is the master, it can arbitrarily burst out the strongest strength. As for the first-level astral plane at a higher level, it can even let the supreme strong fight wildly. Is that so? Jian Wushuang knew his heart, and a smile appeared on his face. This is just right. I was worried that if I could not exert my strongest power in this Thunderstar domain, I was afraid that I would not be able to scare that 10,000 people. Poison sect, but now, there is no such worry. Thousands of poisonous demon lords, the strongest suzerain, is just a fourth-level extreme powerhouse, and has not yet reached the fifth level. Master of this level, Jian Wushuang is not in his eyes. Stronger than Ju Shu, that combat power is enough to rival the fifth-level master, but it is not dead in his hands. Master, I assent that cold like snow still not returning to the poisonous demon sect now? What are we doing here so early? Moyan asked. There is nothing to do anyway, just wait here. Jian Wushuang smiled. On the bright side, he was eating and drinking with cold as frost and magic flame, but in fact Jian Wushuang has been trying to refine those venoms secretly. Especially on the way to Lei Hengxing, he has been trying. His soul has even been annihilated hundreds of times because of this, but Jian Wushuang is still trying. Although every attempt has failed, in this time and again, his soul's ability to withstand that venom is also constantly improving. He believes that this will continue to be tried. One day, he can truly refine these venoms. In the tavern, those who sat eating and drinking were not only 3 swordsmen, but also some other practitioners. And because after all this is at the foot of the ancestral sect, the practitioners who come here are mostly overbearing, even the masters have a lot. Haha, Brother Morton, are you here too? Hearty laughter sounded. A middle-aged man in Xingyi stood up in the tavern, and he was greeted by a man in a black robe, whose entire face was covered by a layer of black cloud and mist, and looked extremely mysterious. After all, it is a grand event only once in thousands of years, and this grand event heard that even Master Xing will pay attention to it. Anyway, where I live is not far from these 10,000 poisonous monsters, come over and look at it naturally. The man under the black robe, it made a hoarse voice. Hey, I heard that this event is getting so much attention because there is a very amazing genius in the venerable demon sect. It is said that she is a rare poisonous body in the universe, and then cultivated into Wanduo, the most powerful magic spell in Wanzhong. Although now only dominated by the second rank, its combat power is even stronger than that of many third ranks. The most important thing is that she has been practicing for hundreds of thousands of years. The potential is really limitless. The middle-aged man in Xingyi praised. Well, it's very powerful. It's no accident. At this event, the geniuses of all parties, including the other 2 top powers, will become the foil. Protagonist, said the man in a black robe. Chapter 4031. Second more. The young man's middle-aged conversation with the man in the black robe did not cover up deliberately, and everyone in the tavern heard it clearly. After hearing the conversation between them, most of the guests in the tavern agreed. Most of these guests came for the grand event that Wandu Dizong is about to start. Naturally, they also know the great name of Wandu Dizong. Not only the men in black robes, but even they also think that this is a feast. In the corner of the tavern, Jian Wushuang, when he heard the conversation between them, looked very strange. A peerless genius. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. It seems that the cold as snow has improved a lot, but it is also true, after all, it is a poisonous body. Cold as frost was indifferent. When she heard the name of cold as snow, her look did not change at all. Schwanger, you have made great progress over the years, and now you have reached the top of the second level. If you take a shot and fight one-on-one against that cold snow, can you be sure? Jian Wushuang asked. I don't know. Lung Rushuang shook his head, but followed straightly. But I won't lose. I won't lose, that's the win. Jian Wushuang smiled. Relax, wait for the poisonous demon sect. I will let the cold snow fight you. The grievance between the two of you, it's up to you to do it yourself this time. As for the people of the poison sect, I will not let them in. Not only are the people of 10,000 poison demon sect, I hope you cannot interfere with your husband, Lung Rushuang said suddenly. Huh? Jian Wushuang stunned. Lung Rushuang solemnly said, I and her, who are sisters in one, now have their own paths. I came to her this time, but it completely broke my previous relationship with her, and this time, I will solve it on my own, and I will have a truly fair fight with her. Yes, but if your life is threatened, I will shoot. Jian Wushuang said directly. Cold as frost nodded slightly. Just then, not far from the void, several figures rushed at the same time, and blinked at the door of the tavern. In front of it is within the poison demon sect. We first go to this tavern to rest for a while, and then go to the poison demon sect no later. One of the old men led by Tong Yang said. Behind the old man Yang Yang, followed by several young men and women, their breath exudes differently. It's the people of Bing Huangdao, headed by the two elders of Bing Huangdao. As for him, the talented disciples who participated in this event at Bing Huangdao should be behind him. Well, Binghuang Island, it's better to be second only to the top 3 forces in this Thunderbolt domain. This year's talented disciples are said to be very good. It's very good. Seeing that the Golden Robe Man didn't, he was the first genius of Fenghuang Island, Qin Feng, and he was also repaired at the 2nd level. Downwind. There was a whispering sound in the tavern, and many guests looked at the newly arrived dozens of people. And most of them stayed on the man in the golden robe. Everyone at Binghuang Island took a seat in the tavern and just sat down. Brother Qin, look at that. A voice sounded. The eyes of the man in the gold robe Qin Feng immediately looked at him, and what he looked at was exactly where Jian Wushuang was. Huh! Qin Feng's eyes were frozen on the frosty body instantly. Cool. Qin Feng stood up and his eyes became extremely sharp. Which, I didn't expect to meet you here in advance. Qin Feng's voice also became low. Which? Isn't this which Qin Feng talking about is the peerless genius of Wandu Morzong? The whole pub instantly became turbulent, and all eyes looked at Qin Feng, looking at them as cold as frost. Cold as frost willow charm clustered slightly. Jian Wushuang frowned. You recognize the wrong person. Lung Rushuang said. Recognize the wrong person? Joke, I've met you anyway. You look like you and the spirit of your body. I have long remembered, I will admit it. Qin Feng chuckled, and he has slowly moved to this side. Come over. Jian Wushuang touched his nose, and his heart was quite helpless. Cold as frost and cold as snow are two souls evolved from the body. The two of them are not only the same, but also the breath of the soul. Because of the perennial companionship, they are more than 90% similar. If they are not particularly familiar people, even relying on the breath of the soul, may also admit their mistakes. As it is now, this Qin Feng apparently regarded cold as frost as cold as snow. Hey, stand still. Jian Wushuang yelled, and said lowly, Boy, are you called Qin Feng, right? If you admit wrong, you admit the wrong person. The one next to me is my wife, but not what you said. A witch from the poisonous demon sect. Your wife. Qin Feng froze. As far as he knows, the witch of Wandu Dizong's eyes is scary. Although there are many people who are infatuated with her, so far this witch has never looked at anyone, and it is impossible to become another's wife. But the woman in front, no matter the look or the spirit, looks like the witch. It's impossible, even if the appearance can be changed, the breath of the soul can't be changed. You even have the same breath as the witch. How could it not be that witch? Qin Feng drank, apparently distrusting what Jian Wushuang said. Whether you believe it or not, I'm too lazy to talk to you nonsense. Shuang'er, let's go. Jian Wushuang obviously was too lazy to talk to this Qin Feng nonsense, stood up, and was about to leave. Slow. Qin Feng whispered, and his shape blocked the way of Jian Wushuang. He stared hotly and stared at the cold frost. Which, I was humiliated by you 10,000 years ago, this 10,000 years here, I'm mad at it, just to fight you, and now I'm having a hard time, would I let you leave like this? It's really noisy. Jian Wushuang was obviously a little angry too. He didn't want to have general knowledge with Qin Feng, but he didn't expect the other party to be over. Cool. Sword unparalleled shot. He didn't take out the Excalibur, just one stroke with one hand instantly under the watchful eyes of many practitioners in this tavern, a horrific sword exploded suddenly. The strong sense of the sword made everyone in the tavern, including those masters, and the second elder from Ice Queen Island tremble. Not good. The second elder was startled and wanted to rescue, but found that his speed was too late. I saw the endless sword cover over Qin Feng. This Qin Feng is known as the first genius of Bing Huangdao, but before the sword has no double sides, it is no different from the ants. I saw that under the cover of Zhengguang, this Qin Feng body collapsed instantly. Of course, Jian Wushuang did not directly kill the killer, but gave a breath to this Qin Feng, but it was also very miserable. 3 heads M. Chapter 4032. The first is more. How is it possible? Qin Feng's body has been restored, and his breath is extremely weak, but he is still staring at Jian Wushuang, his eyes are full of incredible. It was just a random stroke with one hand that defeated him in an instant. Even if the opponent did not keep his hand, he was dead at that moment. The man in front of him is so strong. But the breath on the other side is obviously only the second level dominating the level. I just gave you a warning. If you try to block our way again, I will kill you directly. Jian Wushuang said coldly. Qin Feng could not help but tremble. Sir. The second elder of Binghuang Island hurried up and said, thank you for your mercy, this is indeed Qin Feng's recklessness. I will take him to pay you for your crime. The two elders are very clear that the universe is sinister. Like Qin Feng just did this, even if the other party directly kills him, there is no problem. Let's go. Jian Wushuang snorted coldly, leaving his tavern with his wife and Moyan. And that Qin Feng is now honest, dare to go again. After the 3 swordsmen left the pub exploded immediately. Good guy, it's just a one-handed stroke. Qin Feng, the first day of Bing Huangdao, was defeated. It's more than defeat. He would have been dead if the other side hadn't kept his hand. Just now, that person is so strong, but why do I look at the breath emanating from him? It seems that it is only the second level that dominates the level. It is the master of the second grade, but I don't know if he has deliberately concealed his breath, or if he only has this realm. If he is really only a master of the second grade, then it is great. That which cannot defeat Qin Feng so easily. Talks rang out in the tavern. Qin Feng's face has become a pig's liver color, and the people of Binghuang Island did not have that face to continue to stay in the tavern, but immediately set off for Wandu Dizong. After leaving the tavern, the 3 swordsmen did not immediately go to Wandu Dizong. After all, the event in Wandu Dizong will not be held for a while, and it seems that the snow is still cold. Simply Sword Wushuang is located in the city near Wanzhong Dizong, looking for an inn to temporarily reside. The next time, Jian Wushuang 3 stayed in the inn, while Jian Wushuang focused all their energy on the refinement of those venoms. I saw the soul of the sword Wushuang knowing the sea shaking for a while, then immediately annihilated. A moment later, the annihilated soul was restored again. Failed again. Jian Wushuang shrugged his shoulders without any surprise. After learning that those venoms can rely on the soul to refine, he has tried not to know how many times, failed every time, his soul has been annihilated countless times, but he was not in a hurry, but once keep trying. This shake, 5 years later. It finally succeeded. In a room of the inn, the laughter of Jian Wushuang sounded. Of course, there were restraints in the room. His laughter was not passed on. At the moment, Jian Wushuang was sitting alone on the couch with a surprised smile on his face, and in front of him was a drop of scarlet venom. This scarlet venom has been suspended there. Before, Jian Wushuang did not dare to touch it with his hands, but let alone touch it with his hands now. Even if he directly swallowed this drop of venom, he would not be affected by the venom. Erosion. After all, This drop of venom has been completely controlled by him. It took so long, my soul annihilated more than tens of thousands of times after repeated attempts. Until now, I have successfully refined this drop. Alas, it is really difficult. Jian Wushuang could not help but sigh. Fortunately, he is the perfect life, his soul is annihilated, and he can rely on divine power to repair it instantly. If you change to another person, even if it is the most extreme master of the 5th series, it is estimated that the venom will be dead for a lifetime, and the 5th series is more general or the 4th series. If you try to refine to dissolve this venom, it is simply to die. And refining this drop of venom, this also has a great effect on Jian Wushuang. When I saw Jian Wushuang waving his hand, Wu Wei's Excalibur appeared in his hands, and immediately under his guidance, this drop of scarlet venom slowly swept away towards Wu Weapon's Excalibur and merged directly into Wu Weapon's Excalibur. Inside, the venom disappeared after entering the Wu Weapon sword, but Jian Wushuang was the owner of the Wu Weapon sword, and he refined the drop of venom and could clearly sense the presence of that drop of venom. The venom is within the Wu Crying Excalibur, but without his guidance, it will not exert its power, but as soon as he thinks, this venom will immediately trigger with the Wu Crying Excalibur. While attacking the enemy, this venom will directly enter the opponent's body along the Excalibur, causing unprecedented damage to the opponent. From now on, I will have one more card in my hand. Jian Wushuang smiled. He has practiced so far with a lot of cards and many of them are very good. Such as the Dragon Extermination Mysticism, the talented Supernatural Primitive Universe, the combination of the 3 Town monuments formed by the Demon Town Sky Lore Array. These are all his whole cards, but also extremely powerful. However, if measured by the terrible degree, the card he now has is undoubtedly the most terrifying. Because the venom he refined, even if he was the master of the ultimate level, accidentally, he could die. The master below the ultimate level can withstand a drop of venom directly, and it is almost impossible to survive. After refining a drop of venom, Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry to refining the second drop. After all, only 3 months remained until the grand event of Wandu Dizong was held. This month, Jian Wushuang and his wife walked around in the Lei Hengxing realm. 3 months later, they set off together and went to Wandu Demon Sect. At this moment, the poisonous demon lord, because of the convening of that event, has become particularly lively. This feast is actually just a feast of geniuses that has been held for tens of thousands of years. Each time the Feast of Geniuses, some of the top geniuses in Lei Hengxing's world will take the contest. The strongest genius is selected at the end. There is a chance to be personally instructed by the Lord of the Lei Hengxing realm, and of course, there will be some other rewards. This genius feast, because it is held every 10 million years, is already commonplace in the Leiheng astral realm, but this time it will be special, it will be so eye-catching. After all, it is because of the poisonous demon lord, the peerless genius that appeared inside. 3 Heads M. Chapter 4033. Second More. On the day of the feast, the gates of the 10,000 poisonous demon ancestors opened, and numerous practitioners flocked to the scene. Most of these practitioners see a lot of fun, but as long as they come, all the poisonous demon lords will be welcome to receive them without any worries that someone will come to trouble. After all, this feast was not only held in the poisonous demon sect, but mainly due to the genius feast of Lei Hengxing once every 10,000 years, but the Lord personally ordered it to be held. Anyone who dares to make trouble on the way to the feast is disrespectful to the Lord, but we must know that the Lord of the Lei Stellar realm is dominated by the 5th series, which is an absolute word in the Lei Stellar realm. Joding, no one dares to violate. The huge and unenforceable martial arts arena can accommodate millions of people at the same time, and at the very center of the martial arts arena, there is a huge void, which is used as a battlefield. Many geniuses participating in the Genius Feast will go to the battlefield to compete and finally decide the strongest. At this moment, tens of thousands of people have gathered in this martial arts field. You know, these tens of thousands of people are not ordinary people. The weakest of them are the rulers, and there are many strong ones who dominate the level. This is the gap between the secondary astral level in a medium-sized star field and the secondary astral field in a barren zone on the edge of the universe. Like Demon Star, the strongest demon star is also able to break through to reach the 4th level of domination, and Demon Star's majesty can only dominate hundreds of people. However, the strongest in the Lei stellar realm is a 5th-ranked dominator, and his majesty's 4th-ranked dominion has many. In general, there are at least thousands of thunder stars in the Lei stellar realm. There are quite a few people who come to this feast. In one of the corners, Jian Wushuanghuan stood there holding his hands, and the coldness around him was dangling with a veil, and the breath on his body also converged. No way. After the incident at the previous restaurant, Leng Rushuang realized that he was too much like Leng Xuexue. Without disguise, it would be easy for people to admit mistakes and cause unnecessary trouble. Therefore, before coming to the feast this time, the cold frosted bucket deliberately stayed covered his appearance. The magic flame, still standing respectfully behind Jian Wushuang. Soon, this feast of genius was held. Although this genius feast says that the geniuses of all forces in Lei Hengxing can participate, in fact, the geniuses of the 3 top powers can really emerge in this genius feast. And there is no doubt that the witch from the poisonous demon lord is the most dazzling. Cold as snow. Jian Wushuang stood there with cold eyes, staring at a beautiful woman who was fighting in front of the battlefield. The beautiful woman is similar to Leng Rushuang in 8 or 9 points, not only in appearance, but even in temperament and soul. This beautiful woman, naturally, is as cold as snow. After a lapse of many years, Jian Wushuang once again saw cold as snow. The latter is already the first genius of Wanzhong Dizong, and even the most dazzling existence of the young generation in the entire Lei Hengxing world. At this genius feast, she showed its really dazzling. I saw she was holding a cyan spear, and the spear stabbed at will, easily defeating every top genius from all sides. Even the talented disciples from the other 2 top powers possessed the 3rd-level dominating combat power, but in this cold snow, they could not support it for a long time and were easily defeated by her. And those who watched the battle all around can see that, from beginning to end, this cold snow has not come up with its full strength. Yes, for more than 200,000 years, this cold snow has made great progress. She has a very high perception of the origin of the gunshot universe, and she has even been dominated by the 4th-level master. She is obviously more dominant than the normal 2nd-level player. She has a lot of divine power, and she can sweep all the geniuses at this genius feast, but her strongest venomous body has not been exerted at all, and before I also heard that she has become the first mystery of Wandu Dizong, Wandujing, and she can't see it. Jian was eyes narrowed slightly. And beside Jian Wushuang, although Leng Rushuang's face was hidden under the bucket, her gaze had been staring at the cold snow in the middle of the battlefield, and her look was quite calm. Time passes slowly. This genius feast lasted for 3 days and 3 nights on campus. It was only on the 4th day that the feast began to come to an end. Now the genius feast has only one final battle. One of the 2 sides of this battle is as cold as snow, and the other is the first genius from a top power. The genius is more powerful than the 3rd-ranked dominator, but it is clear that he is still a lot worse than cold as snow. At the beginning of the war, the genius' purpose from the beginning was not to defeat the coldness of snow, but to force the coldness of snow to use his special constitution, or to use the 10,000 poisonous classics, but unfortunately in the end did not succeed. That cold snow showed her terrible marksmanship in this battle, which is far better than those 3rd-level masters who are good at gunfire, and finally easily defeated that genius. Since then, this genius feast is truly over. Haha, it is worthy to be called the first super genius in the history of WN Po Demon Sect. This strength is indeed quite good. Unfortunately, I came here this time, and wanted to take a good look at her toxic body, but I did not expect that she did not use her constitution at all. Obviously dominated by the 2nd grade, but in terms of combat power, I am afraid that it is already comparable to the dominance of the 3rd grade. If it is to trigger the physique to perform the Wandujing, then the one who can defeat her in the 3rd grade dominates. Not a few. The talent of this, which is definitely the first person in our Thunderstar world for hundreds of millions of years. Even in the entire purple microstar domain, it is estimated that it can be ranked in the top 3. After the final competition, those powerful men from the sectarian forces who stood in the top void began to talk about it, and naturally included the 3 top forces. In the performance martial arts field, The tens of thousands of practitioners who watched the battle were also discussing. Most of them marveled at how terrible the cold snow was and how good it was. In the corner of Yanwu Stadium, Jian Wushuang glanced at him as cold as frost. The showdown of this genius feast is over. Next, Shuang'er, it's your turn. Well, I'm ready. Cold as frost softly. I'll open the way for you. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, and his body moved immediately. Emperor Zhou. Chapter 40-34. 3 more arrived today. On that vast battlefield, because the last genius has been defeated, Lung Rushue is preparing to leave the battlefield under the attention of everyone. But then, a figure, like a teleportation, appeared directly in the middle of the battlefield, and as soon as the figure appeared, there was an overbearing breath that locked her. The cold, snow-like pace immediately gave her a meal, and at the same time she looked up in surprise, because the other person's breath gave her a very familiar feeling. As the other person's figure was revealed, a familiar face appeared in front of her, making her cold and snowy. Many practitioners on the Yanwu field also noticed the changes in the battlefield and saw the emergence of the sword unparalleled. Suddenly, one by one appeared suspicious. Sir, is it all right? An elder of Wandu demon who supported this grand battle also immediately appeared in the middle of the battlefield, standing in front of Lung Rushue, staring vigilantly at the sword. Although Jian Wushuang is only a second-level master, the elder of the poisonous demon lord feels an extremely dangerous breath from Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang did not look at the elder, but stared at the cold snow behind him with interest. Why, isn't your old friend here going to say hello? Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Old friend? The elder of Wanduzong showed doubt. Is you? Lung Rushue stared at Jian Wushuang, but his eyes became extremely sharp. I didn't expect that you could come here. Cold as snow is indeed quite surprised. But she knew very well how far away this starfield was from the beginning of the world. At that time, her master, Lord Luo, took a lot of effort to send her here, and even the poisonous demon lord sent a 4th-level master to greet her personally, and even took the cost to ride some universes. But even so, it still took her 30,000 years to get here. But Jian Wushuang in front of her. Not long ago, although she received a rumor from her master Xing Luo, she knew that the gods in the early days had changed, and that Jian Wushuang had become the master of the early days, but it was only tens of thousands of years. Just the past. Even her master Xing Luo, the master, has not yet returned to Lei Heng's astral realm, but this sword Wushuang even rushed over from the early divine realm. I'm not alone here this time. Jian Wushuang smiled. Behind him, a beautiful figure slowly walked over, but only came to the side of Jian Wushuang just a moment later. Although this beautiful figure was fighting, she still couldn't hide her breathtaking figure, and the moment she saw the beautiful figure coldly, her figure couldn't help it. Is that you? Cold Rushue said softly. Sister, I haven't seen you in a long time. The indifferent voice came out from under the veil, and cold hands like frost jade stretched out, took off the bucket, revealing a peerless face, and her breath no longer covered up, and spread directly. Come. At the moment when the cold face showed his face and breath, countless practitioners in the entire performance martial art field burst into an instant. Who is this? It seems that she and the witch are too similar. Are they sisters? No, I'm afraid it's not that simple. After all, even if they are sisters, they only imagine their looks, but she and her soul are almost the same. There must be other factors. A burst of exclamation sounded from all corners of Yanwu Stadium. Around the battlefield, from where the talented disciples of Binghuang Island gathered, Qin Feng's eyes were rounded, staring at Jian Wushuang and cold as frost. It's really 2 people. I was in the tavern before, did I admit it wrong? Qin Feng is still a little hard to believe. And in the void above, those top powers from all sides also showed weird colors. Only those high-level powerhouses of Wandu Dizong are at the moment ugly. What happened? Among these high-level powerful men of the WN Poison sect, the elder who has the highest strength and status is the elder who asked at this moment. As for the sovereign of the Poison sect, he never appeared in this feast. Elder, you forgot. When Xingluo found this cold as snow, he once said that she was something special. Said an elder next to the poisonous demon whispered. As soon as the elder's expression moved, he immediately remembered the origin of cold snow. Maybe others do not know, but these top powerful men of Wondu demon know that the cold, snowy poisonous body is derived from the congenital great sin, and at the same time, the cold snow itself is derived from the congenital great sin. The soul that came out, in addition to her, originally had another soul in his deity. She is the soul who shares a body with Yu Shui. What is she doing here? The elder frowned. Two people, although I do not know the purpose of your visit, today is my genius feast once every 10 years in Lei Stella World. This feast was convened by my Lord Lei Stella Lord personally, and no one may it affects the genius feast, so I advise the two to leave directly. The elder who supported the meeting said. I didn't want to affect the convening of your genius feast, otherwise I won't wait until the conference is over and decide the strongest genius comes and then show up, but your genius feast is actually the strongest genius. Then my wife is exactly the same as your peerless genius who has been practicing poisonous demon, and both of them are dominated by the second grade. Now my wife wants to fight her head on. A victory or defeat, should there be no problem? Jian Wushuang smiled. Joke, I do not know what the origin of your wife is, and she did not really participate in this genius feast. From the beginning to the end, how can you play against Yu Shui? If anything happens in this astral world, when people come, they want to challenge snow like snow, wouldn't they be busy? Said the elder Shen Sheng. So, that's a bit regrettable. Jian Wushuang sighed lightly. The elder of 10,000 poison demon thought that sword Wushuang was ready to give in. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, but suddenly he saw a terrible sword rising up, not only the elder instantly covering, even directly covering the entire huge battlefield. What do you do? The many powerful men of Wondu demon suddenly burst into anger. The elder who stood in front of the sword without double-sidedness, although having the third-level peak combat power, could be swept up by this sword, just like a leaf, was hung directly out of the battlefield, and finally he had to stand still again. Shape. This battle must be fought, and no one can stop it. If you are honest, you are better, but if you are not honest, I don't mind, and have fun with you first. Jian Wushuang's somewhat cold voice suddenly sounded throughout the performance martial arts field. Chapter 40-35. The first is more. Arrogance. Many of the powerful poison monsters are all angry. In any case, this genius feast was held in their poisonous demon sect, and all the rules of it must be up to them. And like Jian Wushuang now running directly to fight against Lung Rushue directly, and cannot help but directly shoot their elders, Wondu Morzong naturally will not agree. I saw at this moment that those powerful men in the high level of Wondu Dizong moved at the same time. However, they haven't had time to shoot yet, and Jian Wushuang has just cut off with one sword. This sword, he directly cut off towards the positions of those strong men of 10,000 poison sect. Wow! The whole world seems to be completely cut open. A huge sword shadow cuts the space and appears in front of the many powerful demon sects. And the shadow of this sword is constantly enlarged in the eyes of these powerful men, and the earth-shattering power is pressing unscrupulously at them at this moment. The appearance of the high-level powerful men, including that elder, has changed. They just thought that it was just an ordinary second-level master who came to make trouble, but with the real shot of Jian Wushuang, he was shocked by the elders alone. This sword is so powerful that it makes them all feel irresistible. Come on, let's do it together. The elder burst into a sigh, and immediately a huge axe appeared in his hand, and a domineering breath rose from him. As for the other elders, they are not slow. At this moment, they all shot one after another, trying to block the sword of Wushuang. After all, the poison sect is one of the 3 top forces in Lei Hengxing, and the overall force is very powerful. At the highest level of combat power, in addition to the sovereign who has reached the most extreme level of the 4th level, there are 3 4th-level masters. At this moment, including the elders, there are 2 4th-level dominate, in addition to more than 10 3rd-level dominate. However, Wanzhong Dizong is best at using poison instead of attacking directly. What's more, even if they are good at frontal attack, They are powerless in the face of Jian Wushuang's extremely powerful sword. Boom! Only a violent roar rang through the whole world, and the whole void was caught in a huge energy storm. This energy storm lasted for a long time, and it finally disappeared. And when the storm of divine power dispersed, many practitioners on the performance martial arts site found that the strong men of the poisonous demon were standing there in a weak mood, and many people still had blood on their lips, including the big one. Elders, too. Obviously, although they blocked the sword of Wushuang, they were all not badly injured. However, Jian Wushuang made such an unscrupulous shot, and that terrible power finally alarmed the lord of the Wandu demon sect. I saw an extremely cold atmosphere rising from the depths of the 10,000 poison demons ground, and then an old figure covering the whole body under the black robe appeared in heaven and earth. The old figure of the black robe stood high, and the strange pair of cold eyes of the black robe was staring at Jian Wushuang Metropolitan. Many powerful men of 10,000 poison sects were overjoyed to see the appearance of the old figure in the black robe. They have absolute confidence in their suzerain. In the entire Lei Hengxing world, except for the Supreme Lord, no one is their opponent. Even the power of the other two top powers, compared with their sovereign, is slightly higher. Worse. In other words, as long as the Lord does not take action, their suzerain is the strongest, at least they all think so. But what they don't know is that the sword unparalleled standing in front of them is not at all a person from the Leiheng astral realm, but from other astral realms and even other astral realms. Here, what's going on? There was a deep, husky voice under the old figure of the black robe. You are the lord of the poisonous demon lord, right? Jian Wushuang looked coldly at the old figure in the black robe in front of him. I came to you, the poisonous demon lord, just to make my wife face the cold snow. After World War I, I will leave myself after the war, and it will not have too much influence on your poisonous demon lord, but if you want to stop it, it is naturally not strange to me. Your wife. The sovereign looked down at Lung Rushuang and Lung Rushua below, and frowned slightly. Sovereign, this is the thing. The elder appeared next to the lord of the poisonous demon, and briefly explained the story. After listening, the suspicious master of Wandu demon became gloomy. Your wife is also dominated by the second level, and has a great relationship with Yu Shui. She is going to fight Yu Shui directly. I will not stop the poison sect. Your Excellency is acting so arrogantly, wouldn't it be too much for me to see the poisonous demon lord? Said the lord of the poisonous demon coldly. I just don't put it in my eyes, what can you do? Jian Wushuang was dismissive. By the time he arrived, he had already obtained complete information about the 10,000 poisonous demon sects and the entire Lei Hengxing world from the Jodi Pavilion, and even the strength of that Lei Hengxing master was clear. Just because he knew it, he dared to act like this, because he knew that no one could stop himself from doing anything in this thunderworld. That being the case, naturally he didn't need to be too careful. So arrogant boy, in this case, the suzerain wants to ask you for advice. I don't know what you can do, dare to be so mad in my lord of poisonous demon lords. The lord of Lord Poisonous Demon already has an amazing maggot. Chi rose slowly. Ask me for advice. Can you take my sword and say it again? Jian Wushuang's voice is cold, but the Wu weapon sword in the hand is cut off again. The same sword casts the Kaitian style created by Jian Wushuang. The sword was unveiled by the sword unparalleled, and many of the powerful poisonous monsters were struggling with serious injuries before they could barely resist it. But we must know that the sword just now, Jian Wushuang only relied on his own understanding of the origin of Kendo universe to perform sword art. But now this sword, while performing the sword, is also carrying an extremely strong force of the cosmic law. The addition of the force of this cosmic law instantly made this already extremely powerful sword, and reached a whole new level. Wow! The astounding sword was chopped down. The sovereign, who was shrouded in a black robe, was already panicked at the moment when he saw the sword of Wu Shou waving this sword. Chapter 4036. Second more. How could it be so strong? Sovereign's head is stingy at this moment. After all, although he stayed deep in the bottom of the gate of the Lord of Poisonous Demon Ancestors, he could understand the induction when there was a powerful energy fluctuation above him. Like the sword that Wu Shuang just had, he was able to sense the power. Although that sword has crushed the many powerful monsters of the poisonous demon sect, the power of that sword is still only the 4th level extreme level. At this level of swordplay, he is confident that he can resist it. Because of this, he said that he would seek advice from Jian Wushuang. However, he never expected that the sword skills that he could perform on him without double-sided swords were so powerful that they were 2 swords at a different level. This sword, even he could not resist. There is no way, the sovereign can only do his best to resist this sword, but the end result is swept directly by the sword shadow, hit the spot, and even the breath weakened a lot. Too strong, this is definitely the 5th level combat power. Sovereign looked at Jian Wushuang in horror. Next to him, those high-level strong men from the 10,000 poison demon are also trembling one by one at this moment. They did not expect that their suzerain was still not the enemy of the other sword. I have already said, you are honestly staying by the side, and when my wife and the frosty battle broke up, I will naturally leave, but if any of you are not honest or on the way intervene, then don't blame me. Jian Wu's eyes looked coldly at the numerous poisonous monsters. Many of the powerful poison lords, including the Lord of the Poison Lords, do not speak at this moment. They did not dare to speak, even though they were very unconvinced, but Jian Wushuang's strength was there, and they could not tolerate their bows. This scene was also seen by countless practitioners in the performance martial arts field, and they couldn't help boasting. Even the other 2 powerful top powers were secretly amazed, but no matter how they thought about it, at this moment no one dared to step forward to block the sword unparalleled. With the help of his own sword, the 10,000 poisonous monsters could not lift his head. And in that pair of battlefields, Leng Rushua looked at all this. Unexpectedly, his strength has become so strong. Cold as snowy ice coldly, his right hand was also gripped hard. What kind of strength he has, it has nothing to do with you, because in this battle, your opponent is me. Cold as frost is cold. Is it your opponent? Leng Rushua sneered. She and Leng Rushuang once shared a body, both of whom were extremely familiar, and at the bottom of her heart, Leng Rushua didn't look so cold. She didn't look down on it before, not to mention that now, she has fully awakened the poisonous body, and has become the Wandujing, which has become the first genius recognized by Lei Heng. Is it as cold as frost? As far as she knew, the frosty soul had been asleep, only to wake up a while ago. That is to say, regardless of her innate advantage, she has practiced for a long time before being cold as frost, not to mention her innate advantage is much greater than being cold as frost. It's useless to play with your mouth, it's stubborn and weak, you only know when you have actually fought. She looked cold as frost, and she was too lazy to argue with cold as snow. It all depends on strength. When I saw her hand as cold as frost, a mauve long whip appeared in her hand. This mauve long whip is the attacking magic weapon that Jian Wushuang chose for her in Jodi Pavilion before. Oh, the rule is precious. It seems that guy is very good to you. Leng Rushua smiled indifferently, followed her and took out her cyan lance. A similarly arrogant breath from this lance spread out. Also, you have the rule of treasure, but not just you. Cold as snow. Cold as frost is because of the relationship between sword warrior and sword warrior, which is expensive, so it is easy to get her a rule of attack. And it was as cold as snow, but it was the first genius in the history of the poisonous demon lord. It is conceivable that the poisonous demon lord attached great importance to her. In addition, she had also got the chance by herself. It's normal. As the 2 men came up with their own magic soldiers, the fateful battle that was doomed from many years ago and the moment they were born at the same time, finally kicked off. Dead. As cold as a snow slaughter, she took the lead and saw that her figure was moving. On the battlefield, there were countless figures at the same time. These figures maintained the same movement and were held by both hands. Long pike, spear stabbing. Boom. The space was directly penetrated and a huge hole appeared, and a terrible blue light appeared strangely in front of the cold frost. Cold as frost still did not change at all. At the moment when the blue light appeared, her figure had receded, and the mauve long whip stretched out. It's like a towering waterfall from above 9 days. It contains horrible power, and it broke the green light at the first time, and the waterfall fell down, and continued to glance forward at the dense and snowy figure. Go with. I saw countless phantoms that were directly crushed by this waterfall, and even the deity as cold as snow suffered the impact of this waterfall. It's kind of patient. The coldness of Zuzun's figure was revealed, but the corner of her mouth still had a weird smile, but the next moment the cyan spear turned into a violent cyan lightning, which actually penetrated the waterfall directly and burst into the cold as snow. Come. Cold as frost looked up, the long whip in his hand also lifted upwards, as if the dragon turned over, and the long whip slammed on this cyan lightning bolt, and the cyan lightning bolt dim immediately. Heh! Leng Rushue frowned slightly. This low-powered divine power is not weaker than me, and her whip method is so good that she is so high in her perception of Tao. Leng Rushue thought that the cold frosty soul had awoken not long, and it was great to be able to reach the second level to dominate, but I did not expect that Leng Rushwang's combat power was much stronger than she expected. On divine power, cold as snow, because of the body of venom and some mysteries, has reached the extreme of the second series, almost approaching the third series, dominated by the cold, frosty divine power no worse than her. Her perception of the origin of the Gundo universe is comparable to that of the fourth series, but her perception of the whip method as cold as frost is no less weak than her. The two played against each other, and as cold as snow found themselves in a short time, there was nothing they could do to each other. And after a period of fighting between the two, Leng Rushwang took the initiative. Chapter 4037. 3 more arrived today. As cold as frost stood high, the jade hand waved the mauve long whip, meandering like a dragon. Suddenly a rage of mighty power flooded. Standing as cold as frost, I just felt like I was suddenly caught in an extremely violent ocean. I saw the waves rolling wildly, forming a heavy tsunami, endless, crazy hits like cold snow. This trick. Jian Wushuang, who had appeared on the edge of the battlefield, could not help but smile when he saw the whip cast by the frost. This whip method was exactly taught by Leng Rushwang at that time. This whip method was created by the Mist Supreme, and now Leng Rushwang is only using the first type. But even the first type is extremely powerful, especially the violent but endless mood, which is to a certain extent not less than its own lightsaber array, or even stronger in some aspects. When Cold as Frost first cast this whip method, Jian Wushuang was already quite surprised, but at that time Cold as Frost only mastered less than 10% of this type of whip method, but now so many years have passed, this kind of mighty cold energy has been able to play out perfectly. I saw the extremely violent wave, frantically hitting Cold as Snow, and Cold as Snow continued to use his marksmanship to break free from this violent wave, but the wave resorted to unloading to make Cold as Snow at all. What kind of trick is this? Cold as Snow looked a bit ugly, she was too passive in this vast ocean. Wow. 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 The violent wave was still a shock again and again, but for a while, it was okay, but for a moment, it couldn't hold up as Cold as Snow. Well, I won't waste time with you. Leng Rushue hummed softly, and her pair of black pupils turned grey at this moment. The pale eyes were weird. And seeing these eyes, Jian Wushuang outside the battlefield instantly understood that the coldness of snow was to use his special constitution. You know that in the chaotic world of ancient times, he had also played against this cold snow, and the eyes of the latter were pale. Among those grey eyes, the abrupt dazzling gold light lit up, followed by a large number of red-gold flames spreading wildly at a horrible speed, and in a blink of an eye, the entire battlefield fell into a sea of golden flames. Not only that, but in this golden sea of fire, there is a lot of hazy golden mist rising. The golden mist, and the golden sea of fire, are not real flames, but poisonous mist. The sword had no double-sided color sinking. He could tell at a glance that the overwhelming golden sea of fire was actually formed by the toxic mist, and now the cold frost had completely fallen into the golden sea of fire. The endless golden mist, including the golden sea of fire, completely wrapped in frost. This is the body of poisonous poison. Leng Rushwang has apparently seen the reality of the surrounding sea of fire. The golden flame of the sky seemed to completely evaporate her entire body, and the rising golden mist was pervasive, madly trying to penetrate into her body and erode. She could only quickly spur the power of God, and laid out a simple defensive hood to resist the erosion of these mists. However, the ability of these mists to erode was far beyond her expectations. Although she could barely resist the power of the gods, but it is very huge and fast. And after the golden sea of flames swept open, the coldness of the frost was also clearly felt. The breath emanating from the coldness of the snow has soared to a whole new level. After she tried hard to urge her special constitution, her strength has far exceeded just now. In addition, behind the cold snow, I do not know when a giant alien beast appeared. The alien's body is not very large, but the key is the two pairs of huge wings around the body. It takes up a lot of space, it looks like a flying butterfly. Wn Du Jing Jing. It is the poisonous sutra of the poisonous demon sect. This witch is indeed made, and her destiny is a colorful poisonous butterfly. There was an exclamation in the surrounding martial arts stadium. Wandujing is not only in this world of thunderstars, but also in the entire purple microstar domain. This mystery is also very powerful. At the same time, the body that evoked its own poisonous body, and also exerted the coldness of snow of Wandujing, at this moment, its strength has climbed to a whole new level. The eroding force of the golden sea of fire around me is too great. I do not have the perfect level of life like the army, and my divine power is immense. In this state, I am afraid that I can only maintain dozens at most. The time of breathing will be completely exhausted. In this case, then go all out and beat her in these dozens of breaths. Lung Rushuang made an instant decision. Boom! A terrible breath suddenly rose from the cold frost, and a lot of white light emerged from behind the cold frost. The white light shone like the surrounding sky, making her look holy at this moment, like a goddess from above 9 days. General. Her hair and robes were blown up at this moment, and there was a faint white light in her eyes. Schwanger, she should also come up with her whole cards. Jian's eyes were dignified, watching this scene. She even got cold as the frost, but she got the true story of the Misty Master, who not only taught her the whip method, but also taught her some powerful secret techniques and life-saving means. It's just that cold frost and this book usually don't use those methods, and now this method of cold frost is used by Jian Wushuang for the first time. I saw that the white light behind the frost was more and more dazzling, and the breath on her body became more and more arrogant. When this breath reached a top level, hey, the frosty figure was a weird 1/3. Yes, it is directly changed from one person to 3 people, not a means of phantom, but a real entity. The 3 were as cold as frost, each holding a long whip. Except for the coldest frost in the middle, which held the ruler of the precious treasure, the other 2 held only the strongest treasure. 3 frosts, all at the same time, the speed burst to the extreme. I saw 3 overwhelming whip shadows coming at the same time. Any whip shadow is more powerful than the full strength before the cold, but there are 3 such whip shadows. What mystery is this? 1 person, 3? I can see that it is not a ghost image, but a real body. Is it a secret mystery? Even if it is a secret technique, there are always strengths, but the 3 figures are completely the same except for the treasure in their hands. On the martial arts ground, it was a marvel. Chapter 4038. The first is more. Even Jian Shuangshuang was surprised when he saw the coldness of the frost disappearing. It is indeed the secret technique taught by the Supreme Lord Wu personally, and it is true. Jian Wushuang marveled. On the battlefield, I saw 3 as cold as frost, at the same time burst out of monstrous strength, attacking cold as snow frantically. Lung Rushue also continued to fight back, and the fierce battle between the 2 became more fierce. The longer the time can be dragged, the more detrimental it is to being cold as frost. After only a few breaths, the frosty power has been consumed nearly half, and the golden flame of the sky is burning more and more vigorously, and the cold is like snow here. The strength of the golden flames is also getting stronger. Haha, cheap, although you don't know how your strength has risen to this level in a short time, compared to me, you are still far behind. Lung Rushue said with a proud voice. Void, she already had an extremely arrogant breath, and at this moment, she even improved a bit. Jian Wushuang's brow frowned slightly. After the cold and venomous body was evoked, her strength has been continuously improved. As the fighting time continues, her strength will become stronger. Frost is afraid of trouble. Now, Cold as Frost apparently noticed this. Demonstration has been consumed for nearly half, so I can't continue the fight like this. I'll decide the victory with one move. The cold and frosty eyes became cold. In the middle of the battlefield, I saw all three frosty figures receding at the same time, but on the way back, the white light behind her was more dazzling and holy. An aloof breath burst out from the three frosty bodies, and at the same time it carried an immense force of magic, and it also diffused at the same time. French array? Combat magic array? Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. Sure enough, the three frosty formations directly formed a combined attack formation, and I saw that the three bodies were filled with vast rays of light rising up, and the three rays gathered together, and finally formed a huge hazy phantom. This ghost image is also a holy woman, but has 8 arms, all of which hold a long whip. With the three frost-like figures opening their eyes at the same time, the cold and fierce man flashed. The huge holy woman's phantom 8 arms were waving at the same time. Bang rong! The world is shaking like crazy. The endless power is frantically condensed in the void. In the blink of an eye, a full-length cyan dragon has formed. This cyan dragon opens its mouth wide, with an unparalleled power, directly facing the golden ocean below the coldness in the center swallowed. Joke! Lung Rushua made a loud howl, and the colorful poisonous butterfly behind her also made a harsh hissing, and the endless golden flames rose up. The spear in Lung Rukshu's hand also stabbed a stab, and the power of the golden sea of fire was completely integrated into the spear. The terrible power broke out at this moment. The two mighty powers represented the fate of the two, and at this moment they finally collided head-on. No horrible roar sounded in the imagination, and some were just the sound of a large amount of energy and divine energy squeezing and squeezing. The huge battlefield was covered by the powerful divine energy of both, forming a huge energy storm. The storm was madly sweeping in all directions, and many powerful people who watched the battle were frightened. Although only 2 second series dominated the battlefield in this battlefield, it is clear that the strength of these two people cannot be measured by the second series, and their combat power is definitely the third series. Even in the third series, they should be very strong. Jian's eyes were cold, and he was also staring closely at the battlefield ahead. His soul's power had been paying attention to the cold as frost. As soon as the cold was in danger, he would immediately shoot. But it is clear that this collision has not yet reached that point. And in his perception, the frosty atmosphere did not weaken greatly. Did you win? A smile appeared on Jian Wushuang's face. Sure enough, as the energy storm in the center of the battlefield dissipated, and after everyone saw the scene inside, the countless strong players on the performance field were silent. Especially those strong men from the million poisonous demon lords. At this moment all look extremely gloomy. At the very center of the battlefield, the two figures were still standing face to face. Although only 3 of them were as cold as frost, she was still standing intact. Although the atmosphere was much weaker than before, it was also because consumption of a lot of divine power. On the other hand, as cold as snow, her standing body was obviously slightly trembling, her hair was quite messy, her mouth was bloody, her breath was much weaker than before, and she looked extremely embarrassed. Just from the appearance of the two men, we can already distinguish the victory and defeat of this battle. That witch, did you lose? She took out all her strengths, evoked the body of poisonous poison, and also used the Wandujing, but she still lost to a strong player of the same level. Witches will lose, which is really unexpected. Many powerful men watching the game secretly booed. Because they have long regarded the coldness of snow as the first genius of the Lei stellar world in recent years, and even among the entire Ziwei starfield, they are one of the best super geniuses. Such super geniuses can hardly find anyone in the same stage able to beat her. But now, he was indeed defeated by a strong player of the same rank. There is no speculation, the strength of the opponent is indeed stronger than this witch. Impossible, this is impossible. A frantic howling sounded suddenly on the performance martial arts field, and I saw the coldness of the snow at that moment. The beautiful face had been completely twisted. Without my special constitution, how could I be stronger than me? Impossible, impossible. Cold as snow like crazy, she simply cannot accept the reality in front of her. You know, she didn't look cold as frost from the beginning to the end. Even she always called cold as frost, but as a result, she was now defeated by this bad cruel. How can she accept this result? It's such a field now, are you still not convinced? Cold as frost stared coldly as cold as snow. Just lose. It's a joke. Unless I die, I can never lose to you. Lung Rushua yelled, come, if you have the skill, kill me now. Kill you. Lung Rushuang shook his head. Maybe in your eyes, there is no such sister as me, but for me, you are always my sister. The grievances between you and me are going to end, starting from today. Let's do it for yourself. Chapter 4039. Second more. The grievances between you and me are going to end, starting from today. Let's do it for yourself. As soon as the voice fell, he turned away as cold as frost, without nostalgia. Small, do you think you would do this? Would I be grateful to you? A big joke, you will regret it, you will definitely regret it. If I don't die today, I will kill you in the next day. Lung Rushua had already roared, but unfortunately Lung Rushuang was too lazy to bother her again. At the end of this battle, Lung Rushuang no longer wanted to have a bit more trouble with Lung Rushua. As for Lung Rukshu's words, she would come to kill her in the future, and she was not at all concerned. Not to mention, will they meet again in the future? Even if they do, then what? Lung Rushua is a genius who is not fake. He has a body of toxic drugs and has been refined into the Wandujing, which is one of the best in the entire purple microstar domain. But her potential is definitely stronger than being as cold as snow. After all, she has absorbed the heart of the astral world. This alone is bound to her unlimited potential, and she has high hopes of becoming supreme in the future. What's more, she is an extreme personal biography and the existence of Jian Wushuang. Her advantage is even greater than cold snow. Even if they meet again in the future, the gap between the two will only be greater. Naturally, she would not care about the threat of coldness. Fujun Lung Rushuang returned to Jian Wushuang. Decision, really do not kill her? Jian Wushuang asked blandly. Nodded coldly. In fact, from the beginning, Cold as Frost had never thought about killing Cold as Snow. No matter what the latter did, she had no intention of killing Cold as Snow. The reason she came to Ziwei Star this time was just to settle the grudges with Lung Rushua, but she didn't want to really kill. Yes, I respect your choice. Jian Wushuang did not interfere too much. As for the powerful men of Wandu Dizong, although all of them are extremely ugly, when they saw the coldness and no killer, they were relieved. However, just as Jian Wushuang was about to leave here, what happened? A long voice suddenly sounded. Above 9 days, a ray of light suddenly formed. This dazzling ray of light contained explosive power. As the light slowly dispersed, a barefooted burly man appeared in front of everyone. Seeing the presence of barefoot, burly men, the many strong men present, especially the many strong men of the poisonous demon sect, were immediately surprised. Master Lord. The sovereign Lord first saluted the burly man. Many of the strong men who closely followed Wandu demon sect, including the top powerful forces from all sides, and the crowd on the stage of performances all saluted. Lord naturally refers to the Supreme Star Lord of Lei Hengxing. The absolute top one in the entire Lei stellar world has broken through the super-existence of the 5th series many years ago. The master of the Leiheng astral realm? Jian eyes also looked up slightly. It seems we are not so relaxed this time we want to leave. Master, I can see that this person is very strong. Even in the 5th level master, it is at least a high level, even not far from the peak. The voice of the magic flame sounded in Jian's ears. The 5th level is dominated by higher levels. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. This level of is indeed very strong, and it should be stronger than the Joshu who fought with him at the beginning. But even so, it just made him dignified, but couldn't make him scared. Master, please take charge of my Lord of Poisonous Monsters. Lord of Poisonous Monsters bowed down directly to the barefoot burly man, and never got up. Make the decision. The barefooted burly man, also known as Lei Hengxing, sank and looked around. When is it? Tell me clearly. Master Lord, these are the three people. The sovereign lord pointed directly at the three swordsmen Wu Jian, with a bit of resentment. This genius feast went smoothly and the strongest genius has been decided, which is me. The poisonous demon sect is as cold as snow. It is reasonable to say that this genius feast has come to an end, but who would have thought that these three people suddenly appeared and couldn't help but break into the battlefield? To fight with Yu Shui, I wouldn't agree. This man arrogantly defeated many of my strong poisonous monsters, and even me, he was defeated by him. No way, forced by his means, I had to give up and let his wife fight against Lung Rushue, and Yu Shui was also forced by this person's oppression and could not exert his true strength. That woman's hand. Master Xingzhu, it was only a victory or defeat, it does not matter, but the key is that this person acts too unscrupulously. He did not take my poisonous demon sect at all, and he knows that this feast of genius is Star Lord, you ordered it yourself. Lord, you have ordered no one to make trouble at the genius feast, but he still acts like this. Obviously, even Lord, he is not at your heart. Now this man is planning to leave with his wife. If they really let them go like this, it's not just me who is the poisonous demon, but even your face, Lord, it is estimated that it will be greatly damaged. It will only be a feast in the future. I'm afraid it will become a joke. When the Lord of 10,000 poisonous monsters turned over their grief and indignation, many strong players in the performance martial arts were incomparable, and a lot of scorn was raised in many hearts. The Lord of the poisonous demon lord said so nicely, but the people present were not fools. Although the sword Wushuang acted a bit arrogantly and unreasonably, they were challenged by the upright, and also rely on their own strength to crush the many poisonous demon lords. Did not use any other means. As for the battle of cold as frost and cold as snow, the Lord of the 10,000 poison monsters also said that the latter was under the pressure of Jian Wushuang and did not exert the strongest strength. How can that be? Everyone at the scene could see that Leng Ruxu's strength was not affected. She had already exerted her strongest strength, but the strength was indeed worse than others. After all, people are upright, relying on absolute strength, and Jian Wushuang's actions, no one at the scene felt uncomfortable. It is the words of the Lord of the 10,000 poisonous demon, but it makes people feeling shameless. However, this revelation of the sovereign lord did indeed provoke the anger of Lei Hengxing. Is it you, making trouble at the genius feast? Lei Hengxing's master glanced coldly at Jian Wushuang, and deep in his eyes was a thunderous thunder flashing. Trouble? I didn't shoot until the genius feast was over. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. Is that so? Lei Stella's main gaze was still cold. Master, the battle of the Feast of Genius has indeed ended, but Lord Master, you have not yet given the treasure to the scene. How can you say it is over? Said the sovereign. Well, too. Lei Stella nodded slightly. Chapter 40. The first is more. No matter who you are, for any reason, since you dare to disrupt the normal progress of the genius feast, you should be punished. Lei Hengxing stared at Jian Wushuang coldly. Lei Xingxing, I don't want to cause trouble, not to mention that my affairs are over, and I have no plans to stay in your Lei Xingxing. If you let me leave now, then nothing will happen, but if you are, I still have to entangle it again, and I will not be able to guarantee what will happen in the future. Jian Wushuang is indifferent. It's arrogant to be dominated by a second-level player. Lei Hengxing laughed. I won't kill you. I built a thunder prison in the Lei Hengxing realm, which is used to punish those. To those who are disrespectful to me, I will detain you to thunder prison for 100 million years. As soon as the words came down, the Lord Lei Stella immediately shot. I saw the cyan thunder flickering wildly on his body, and with the extension of his large hand, a huge palm formed by the thunder was grabbed directly towards the sword unparalleled. This thunderbolt contains violent and suffocating power. In the face of this thunderbolt, the ordinary fourth level dominates, and I am afraid that it will immediately lose its resistance. Many strong players in the performance field were frightened when they saw Lei Hengxing's shot. You know, this is the Lord Lei Stella, the most recognized leader in the whole Lei Stella. For a long time, he has said nothing in the world of Lei Stella. No one dares to disobey his orders, but because he is too detached, few people in the realm of stars have actually seen him. But now, Lei Hengxing's master shot directly in front of everyone, and it was only a second-level master. It is worthy to be dominated by the 5th level. This random shot, the power is so good. Jian Wushuang only smiled slightly, followed by a one-handed stroke. Instantly an invisible sword shadow rushed out and cut directly from the thunder hand. This huge thunder hand was cut directly into 2 pieces by this sword shadow. A large amount of thunder power madly filled the surrounding void, and crackled. Let the void burst out loud. Heh! Lei Hengxing showed his surprise. Although he was just a hit, but the general 4th-ranked master could not resist, but the 2nd-ranked master in front now resisted, and it was also very easy to resist. Master Xingzhu, although this man is only the 2nd-level master, but his real strength is very good, even me, is not his opponent. Sovereign Lord of the poisonous monster next to the Lord of Lei Hengxing said. Lei Hengxing's eyes were dim. He had previously heard that the sovereign said that the sword was unparalleled in strength, but it did not matter, but now it seems that the 2nd-level master in front of him is indeed a bit unusual. Lei Hengxing, I have already said, you still obediently let me go, otherwise you, the Lord of the Astral Realms, are likely to follow suit today and lose a big one in front of the Lei Hengxing realms. Face. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. Big words. Lei Hengxing smirked, his palm was flipped, and a cyan spear appeared in his hand, and with the appearance of this spear, a large number of cyan thunder powers exploded wildly on the main body of Lei Hengxing. This cyan thunder, the power is completely connected with the spear, and this Lord of Thunderstar also turns into a blue thunder god of war at this moment. Can take 3 moves in my hands, you can say that again. Lei Hengxing whispered, but his figure moved instantly. 3 tricks. Try it first. Jian Wushuang also smiled. Wu Wei's Excalibur appeared in his hands, his divine power rolled, and he greeted Lei Hengxing directly. First move. Lei Hengxing held the spear with one hand, and the endless force of cyan thunder gathered on the spear. In the blink of an eye, a huge cyan thunder snake formed. With the thunderbolt of the Thunderstar, the cyan thunder snake swiftly and directly bit out the sword unparalleled. It's awkward. The space is crashed by the endless thunderbolt on Razor. Sword Wushuang smiled slightly. He held the Wu weapon sword with both hands at the same time. A mysterious kendo universe originated. The Wu weapon sword was cut off directly. The moment it was cut off, the power of the rich cosmic law was also instantaneous. Into swordsmanship. Without the use of the law of the universe, Jian Wushuang's sword power can only be regarded as the most extreme of the 4th series, but once the law of the universe is used, his sword power can climb to the 5th series instantly. Snapped. A crisp explosion, the shining blue razor contacted Zhenguang, and was directly dimmed by the mighty power contained in the Zhenguang. The whole razor became weak and flew out. Well, the 5th series power? Lei Hengxing stared at Jian Wushuang in surprise, but followed his gaze again. Even if you are really the 5th series master, you will not tolerate you in Lei Hengxing presumptuous laugh. The power of the cyan thunder bursts wildly, and the entire void is completely covered by the power of the cyan thunder, forming a huge sea of thunder. And in this thunder sea, the blue thunder god of war transformed by Lei Stella is even more powerful. I saw the spear in his hand skyrocketing. Razors exuding terrible power one after another burst out at the same time. At this moment, there were at least hundreds of razors. The sword Wushuang is a one-handed wave, the terrible sword is condensed in front of it, and in the blink of an eye there has been a real sword orn, each of which contains the power of strong cosmic laws. I saw this Daomang under the guidance of the sword unparalleled, but also rushed out at the same time, and collided with the raiders from the assault. All I heard was the sound of dense explosions. The hundreds of thunder snakes were all destroyed by these swords. Haha, Lord Lei Stella, you are a good way to deal with ordinary 4th-order masters. It's too far away to deal with me. Jian Wushuang's laughter rang throughout the playing field. Go through it. Boy, I'm so mad, let me take the third move. Lei Hengxing screamed loudly, and there was a terrible thunder in his eyes. I saw in the endless thunder sea there were a large number of razors bursting wildly, all razors looted, and in the blink of an eye there were nearly 1,000 razors. But this time, nearly 1,000 thunder snakes did not disperse and kill Zhao Shuangshou, but gathered together at a terrifying speed in the shortest time. The power of a single razor is already strong enough. Nearly 1,000 razors condense at the same time, turning into a huge thunder dragon in a blink of an eye. This thunder dragon exudes a mighty power. Chapter 40-41. Second more. Before it was the razor, now it is hundreds of times and thousands of times larger than before. This is not the same level of power. Even though it was Zhen Wushuang, the eye pupil could not help shrinking at the moment when he saw this huge thunder dragon bombarded. The sword is unparalleled, and his strength is no longer reserved. One sword, Kai Tian. Boom. Heaven and earth are completely split. This sword, as if from 9 days away, wants to cut the entire sky universe out of it. Kai Tianyi is the strongest sword attack among the 3 sword formations created by Zhen Wushuang. This astounding sword shadow was directly on the thunder dragon. Roar. The roar of that thunder dragon faintly rang between heaven and earth. This roar was actually thundering. The thunder dragon rolled and exploded with horror. Even if it was the sword opening style of the sword, it was impossible to completely chop the thunder dragon. But still let thunder's power decrease sharply. After the thunder dragon was split by Zhen Guang, the entire sound volume was a lot larger than before, but it was still madly striking towards the sword. Bang rong. Thunder dragon impacted on Zhen Wushuang's deity. Zhen Wushuang only felt that he was hit by a huge star on his body. At the same time, there was a large amount of thunder's power fused into his body, and he wanted to annihilate his deity. However, he became the third most immortal. The strength of the divine body is comparable to the strongest cosmic treasure. The impact of this thunder force will not affect him at all. Above the void, Zhen's double body was defeated by the thunder dragon for a distance, then he stood up again, and immediately he raised his head with a smile on his face. Lei Hengxing, your moves are fancy enough, but this power is a little bit worse. Your thunder dragon hits my body, just enough to tickle me. The master of Lei Stella finally gloomed. Around the battlefield, the countless powerful men watching the battle were shocked at this moment. This man, did he receive the attack from the Lord? If the previous 2 attacks were all right, but in the last move, the Lord obviously had all the strength, and it did not hurt him. This man is obviously the master of the 2nd series, but his combat power has reached the 5th series. Where did the monster come from? These powerful men of Lord Lei Stella were secretly amazed. Many of the poisonous monsters dare not speak at this moment. The sovereign had previously wanted Lei Hengxing to kill Zhen Wushuang, but now he is scared to see Zhen Wushuang's strength. Obviously, Zhen Wushuang's combat power is definitely at the 5th level. He cannot afford to provoke such a strong person. Even his Star Master, he is not willing to provoke such powerful people in normal times, right? It's no wonder that it's so mad, but it's a bit capable. Lei Stella snorted, his gaze was still frozen on Zhen Wushuang. Looking at your strength is not weak, take out 500 Universe Source Stone. As a gift, this matter has been revealed. 500 Source Stones of the Universe? Zhen Wushuang sneered, Lei Hengxing, you really are a lion. It is indeed a lion's big opening, because the price of an assault treasure is only about 200 Universe Source Stones. 500 Cosmic Source Stones, many of the net worth dominated by the 5th series, not so much. The Thunderstar Master should be able to see the extraordinariness of the Wu-crying Excalibur in his own hands. In addition, he can explode the 5th rank combat power only if he is the 2nd rank master. He must have obtained star opening. Don't pay. Then you have to die. Lei Hengxing's main eyes suddenly became cold, and there were a lot of cyan thunders on his body. At this moment, the power of these cyan thunders was surging wildly, following them around with the attention of countless powerful men. This rich cyan thunder began to undergo qualitative changes. It was originally the power of the cyan thunder, but in the blink of an eye, it turned into a lilac thunder. This Thunder Star Master has also been transformed into a purple thunder of war. Purple thunder? Jian Wushuang looked. He carefully felt the power of these purple thunders. There is no doubt that after the power of these thunders changed from cyan to purple, their power was obviously improved by a grade than before. This kid's strength is really not weak. If I had taken him before, there was really nothing I could do, but now that I've been made into a purple thunder roll, my strength has increased so much that I can shoot him. Lei Hengxing's main subject flashed a shot. Meaning. Originally, he didn't want to kill Jian Wushuang, but just wanted to send Jian Wushuang to Thunder Prison to suppress it as punishment. But after fighting, he found that Jian Wushuang's strength was so arrogant, he changed his mind. It's normal. A second-level master dominates, but his combat power is so good. It must have been a great opportunity. He may have a treasure. Because of this, Lord Lei Stella wanted to kill Jian Wushuang. Wow! The endless purple thunder shone wildly, followed by the sky from above, and there were also purple thunder pillars coming at the same time. Blood thunder sea, destroy. Lei Hengxing screamed loudly, and the buckets of purple thunder pillars gathered together instantly, urging them to come directly to the sword without twining. Jian was eyes narrowed, his shape quickly moved, leaving a trail of ghosts in the void, but the purple thunder pillar strangled seemed to have locked him already. Where would his deity go, those purple thunder pillars which strangled towards? He was unavoidable in the end and could only choose to greet him. The earth guards the sword formation. Jian Wushuang finally used the sword array, and saw the rise of the earth sword fields. With the power of the formation method, in the blink of an eye formed a huge guardian sword array. This guardian sword formation completely covered the entire body of sword warriors. I saw the vast purple thunder column strangling frantically, constantly impacting on the guardian sword formation, but it just annihilated the guardian sword formation. Part of it, but could not completely destroy the entire sword formation. The sword has no shape, and the cold voice suddenly sounds, Lei Hengxing, what are you doing today? Don't you plan to be good? Good. Joke. Lei Hengxing chuckled chillily, but the purple thunder around him was even more intense. Very good, since that's the case, let's see who killed who. Jian Wu's eyes also sent out an amazing killing intention. He didn't want to be more entangled with the Lord Lei Stella. After all, the two sides had no interests. However, who had thought that the other party was not over, and that one hand was obviously holding the idea of killing him. This Lei Hengxing master, really take his temper. Chapter 40-42. I will change it today. OM. The hazy mist swept away, and Jian Wushuang finally cast a kill. What is this? Is the sword array? Lei Hengxing frowned and looked at the mist in front of him. He could feel the power of the magic array entrained in the mist, but then he snorted. Surrounded by Lei Stella's main perimeter, the power of purple thunder, already so incomparable, has skyrocketed again. The mighty purple ocean of thunder swept away toward the mist, hoping to blow the mist directly. However, the mist swept by the hazy sword array is not a physical entity at all. The power of these purple thunders came, but these mists did not have much influence in the early morning. These hazy mists still filled the entire battlefield, and Jian Wushuang's figure had disappeared in front of Lei Hengxing. Lei Hengxing's main eyes looked coldly, trying to find out the shape of Jian Wushuang. However, under the obstacles of the heavy grey mist, he could not see the location of Jian Wushuang. He could only rely on his soul perception ability, barely sensed the approximate position of Jian Wushuang. Wow! Without any warning, an icy zhenguang chopped from the side of the void. It's fast, and it's so sudden. Lei Hengxing was also shocked, but didn't panic. When he saw the power of a large number of purple thunder exploding, he instantly gathered on his body to form a complete purple thunder armor. This thunder armor covered the entire body of the Lord of Thunder Stella. The sword was cut and split on this purple thunder armor, but it only broke up a portion of the purple thunder. The purple thunder armor returned to normal the next moment. This is the armor of the thunder formed after I made purple thunder rolls. This armor not only allows me to increase my attack power, but also protects my abilities to the extreme. With both offense and defense, my overall strength enough to double. Lei Stellus' main mouth sneered. The secret technique he practiced was extremely powerful, and the first volume of Qinglei volume had already improved his strength a lot, and not long ago he had become a purple thunder volume, and his overall strength surged again. Especially this purple Thor's armor is extremely powerful, which is also his self-confident capital. Jian Wushuang relied on the sword skills of the hazy sword array to split on this purple thunder armor, which did not cause much damage to this purple thunder armor. But Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry, and in the hazy mist, sword lights lit up again. For these sword lights, Lord Lei Stella has already prepared. He shot easily, and saw all the purple thunder pillars coming out of the air. Most of these sword lights were directly scattered by the thunder pillars. His purple Thor's armor cannot do any damage to him. Haha, boy, this is your whole card, but it just tickles me. Lei Hengxing laughed. Is that so? Jian Wushuang's cold voice suddenly sounded behind Lei Hengxing. What? Lei Hengxing stunned. His soul's strength has been sensing the approximate position of Jian Wushuang, but he did not feel when Jian Wushuang appeared behind him. And Jian Wushuang has stabbed the Wu crying sword in his hand. The sword was incredible, and Lei Hengxing had no time to resist. Even if you let it stab you, your level of attack can't break my Thor's armor at all. Lei Hengxing's heart snorted, and he had absolute confidence in this layer of purple thunder armor on his body. Confidence. In fact, unless the sword Wushuang used the mystery of dragon extermination to increase his strength in a short period of time, otherwise he would not be able to break the Thunderlord's armor with normal sword attack. However, what this Lord of Thunderstar did not know was that the moment sword Wushuang stabbed the sword, he had directly evoked the drop of scarlet venom hidden in the Wu Cry Excalibur. This drop of venom was made by a master poison master at the ultimate level. In just one drop, the value is comparable to 1,000 universe source stones. Laugh. The icy sword light stabbed on top of the purple thunder armor of Lei Stellus' main body, and a sound of divine power suddenly sounded. The smile on Lei Hengxing's master's face was frozen in vain, completely transformed into horror. I saw that where the sword light was, the purple thunder that made up the purple thunder armor suddenly began to melt away quickly. It's like in the winter, a bowl of hot water is sprinkled in the snow. The purple thunder is melting too fast. There is no other way. When the drop of venom contained in Wu Weaponess Excalibur erupts, the terrible erosion power may not even be able to resist the body dominated by the ultimate level, and this purple thunder is nothing but the Lord of Thunder's own power. How to resist the erosion of this venom? Suddenly, the center of the purple thunder armor was melted and a bowl-sized hole appeared, while the Wu Weeping Sword continued to extend and continued to stab on the Lord God's body. Lei Stellus' main table also has a body armor. Although this body armor is not a rule of treasure, it is also the best and most powerful treasure. It is reasonable enough to resist all attacks. Although Wu Sword of the Sword is the best, the rule is precious, but because Jian Wushuang can't exert its true power at all now, naturally it can't completely pierce this armor. However, the sword Wushuang does not need to be pierced at all, just need to let the point of the sword touch the strongest armor of the treasure. At the moment when the point of the sword touches the treasure of the treasure, the drop of venom in the Wu Weeping Sword, so he rushed towards the treasure armor. The most powerful arcane warframe at the highest level is directly corroded and collapsed at this moment, and the venom continues to corrode, and the next moment is finally entered into the body of the Lord of Thunderstar. Lei Hengxing's main eyes stared round. Do not. A hysterical roar. Lei Hengxing had no time to struggle, the body collapsed directly, and all his divine power was eroded and cleaned up. The sound was completely cut off. The purple thunder dissipated all over the sky. Lei Stella died. Cool. The swordless figure appeared in the void where the Lord Lei Hengxing died, overlooking the treasure left by the Lord Lei Hengxing in front of him, and his heart was also shocked. It's terrible. Although I had previously guessed that the venom was terrifying, I didn't expect it to be horrible. This Lei Stella master is also a 5th level master, and he is very powerful, but it is just one suddenly, the Thunderstar could not die anymore, and the treasure armor of the conjoined surface was eroded and collapsed. Jian Wushuang sighed. Even he is so, and those strong players who watch the battle around the martial arts field are even more horrified than words. Chapter 40-43. The first is more. Master, are you dead? How is it possible that Lord Master is the 5th level master? How could he die in the hands of a 2nd level master? Impossible. This is impossible. These powerful men of Lord Lei Stella feel that they are going crazy. For a long time, Lei Stella has always been invincible in Lei Stella. Even though it is in the entire purple field, it is also the strongest standing at the top of the pyramid. These strong are already invincible in a medium-sized star field. Even the Lord Lei Stella himself once said that in the Weiwei star domain, he was fearless, which shows his strength. And this is indeed the case. For these long years, Lei Hengxing has always felt invincible. Whether in Lei Hengxing or fighting with other astral powerhouses, Lei Hengxing has always been extremely powerful. Because of this, in the minds of the Thunderstar powerhouses, there is already a nearly blind worship of the Thunderstar Master, but today, they never expected that the Thunderstar Master died. Dominated by a 2nd-level player, the face of all of them was killed directly. Shocked, frightened, incredible, emotions came to the hearts of everyone present. The sword Wushuang has already waved the treasure left by the Lord Lei Hengxing into the ring, but then his gaze is toward the Lord of the 10,000 poisonous monster. Not good. At this moment, the sovereign of the poisonous devil is like a bird that is shocking a bow. When he notices the sword's eyes, he immediately retreats without hesitation, madly trying to distance himself from the sword. He was very clear that it was exactly he who asked Lei Stella to take action against Zhen Wushuang. He wanted to use the hand of Lei Stella to kill Zhen Wushuang. Even if he could not kill him, he must be punished. But whoever thought that Lei Stella not only failed to kill Zhen Wushuang, but was killed by the other party. Now, can this sword matchless spare him? Shuang'er, let's go. Unexpectedly, Zhen Wushuang did not take any action against the Lord of the 10,000 poisonous demon lords, but instead greeted his wife and demon flame directly and left towards the 10,000 poisonous demon lords. For Zhen Wushuang, a lord of 10,000 poisonous monsters is not in his eyes. It doesn't matter if he kills or not, but because the cold and frost had already been said before, the grievances with cold as snow have ended. In the future it is not intended to have any intersection with Lung Rushue, and Lung Rushue is in the poisonous demon sect, so Zhen Wushuang only spared the 10,000 poison sovereign's life. Under the gaze of countless powerful men, the 3 swordsmen left Wandu Dizong and soon disappeared into the sky. On the performance martial arts field, it was already boiling. In the camp of the poisonous monsters, many powerful men of the poisonous monsters are trembling at the moment, and the coldness in the crowd is the direction in which the 3 swordsmen Zhen Shuangsu left their teeth. Zhen Wushuang, I didn't expect that after so many years, your strength was so strong that even the Lord Master was killed directly by you. Also the low-minded man, who has been asleep for so many years, but even stronger than me, cold as Zuyu's hand just held, his eyes were cold. Wait. You are better than me now. It won't be long before I will surpass you. I will. Lung Rushue has already regarded Frost as Frost and Zhen Wushuang as targets to be surpassed. However, what is not as cold as snow is that whether it is Zhen Wushuang or as cold as Frost, in terms of innate advantages, it is larger than him, and much larger. Needless to say, Zhen Wushuang is not only the perfect level of life, but also has lost one side of the astral world with unlimited potential. And the cold as frost is also a fusion of the heart of the astral world. The innate advantage is absolutely greater than her venomous body. For now, the coldness is not as good as the 2 of them. As for the future, the gap will only get wider. And I am afraid they will not have the opportunity to meet again in the future. After Wandu Demon Sect left, Zhen Wushuang's affairs in this purple starfield had already ended, naturally did not continue to stay, and soon left Lei Hengxing. In the cosmic void of Largastroemia Indica, the ancient cosmic boat slowly moved forward. In the spacecraft, Zhen Wushuang was searching for the treasure and Qian Kuan Ring left after the death of the Thunderstar Lord. It is indeed the master of the secondary astral field of a medium-sized star field. This net is more than the magic cloud star. Even if it is compared with the ascetic Jusu we met in Ziwei Xinghe, If it is not because of the venom, because of this, Ju's net worth is far from being comparable to this Thundermaster. Jian Wushuang laughed. Jiushu is a penancer, and has traveled to many territories and beheaded and killed many powerful ones, including the 5th-ranked Dominator. Therefore, he is extraordinary, and of course the most precious thing is the venom he got. And aside from those venoms, all of Jushu adds up, and it is estimated that there are less than 4,000 universe primitives. However, the Lord Lei Hengxing has only about 4,000 source stones in his Chenkuan ring. Coupled with all kinds of treasure resources, and the Cyan Spear used by Lei Hengxing himself, the Cyan Spear should be a middle-class rule treasure, and its value is also very high. Adding all of these together, the entire net worth of Lei Stellus Master should have close to 8,000 cosmic source rocks. This net worth is close to catching up with an ultimate master. General 5th Order Masters, it's great that all of them have 1 or 2,000, but this Thunderstar Master is after all a master of the 2nd Order astral world, and stays in this purple microstar domain for a long time. Always at the top, it is naturally easy to search for treasure resources. It is normal to have such a net worth. Mo Yang sighed softly. Jian Wushuang also nodded slightly, a 5th Order Master, and a medium-level star domain 2nd-level astral master. If he is good at accumulating wealth, he can indeed accumulate a lot of cosmic source stones. And if it were to be dominated by another 5th-level player, there would be no such net worth. Of course, no matter how good you are at accumulating wealth, it is still incomparable with the ultimate level of domination. Jian Wushuang heard the magic flame. The ultimate level dominates, even the poorer ones. The net worth estimates that there are tens of thousands of cosmic source stones, and the more powerful, there are tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of cosmic sources stone. As for the ultimate level dominator standing at the top, the source stone of the universe easily broke millions. Compared to those ultimate masters, Jian Wushuang's current source of this point is just 9 cattle and 1 hare. Before beheading Jushu, I got a lot of source stones. Now I killed this Thunderstar Master and got more source stones. I can't use these source stones for the time being, but I can give you the Frost You first. By a proper rule of war armor. Jian Wushuang smiled. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.